Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto returned to Konoha after his 2-year training with Jiraiya part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. Unwelcome arrangements. Tayuya fucking hated trees, the forest, the leaf village, hell she hated the whole damned land of fire among other things. Some of these he might have been able to put up with. The village had been trashed courtesy of Orochimaru, but it was times like this that reminded her of why she hated this place she lived in. Because as far as she was concerned, her home was barely deserving of the description hovel. Her residence was inside one of those hated trees, carved out by someone unknown ages ago and furnished with the comforts of home. Although she suspected that comfort was an odd word to describe anything having to do with the Spartan furnishings. A bed constructed out of branches, bound with vine, and heaped with old furs, long since ruined. With that there were 2 chairs of similar make and an even smaller table, resembling more of a stool. And this pathetic place was where she lived now. I hate this place. I hate this place. I hate this place. The mantra rang in her ears as she limped into her small home. The limp had been there for more than 2 years. Ever since that lazy shithead and the blonde wind user had crippled her by dropping a forest on her. Every part of her had been crushed. Both her arms had been broken. Her collarbone, a couple ribs, all stuff that would heal. She was nothing if not durable. Being an Uzumaki, even an untalented brat like herself, had its advantages. But the real damage was to her legs. They had been mangled. She was no medical nin, and she didn't dare return to Orochimaru. Her master would show her no mercy. And he would not fix a broken tool. That wasn't his way. He would throw her to his monstrous experiments, or worse. Give her to Kabuto for his own experiments. And her seal? It refused to respond to her call, probably because of the severe damage to her body. It wouldn't activate if the host was too weak to take the strain. And if by some miracle she could activate it, and thus heal her legs, the strain on her mind would likely kill her. There was a good reason why Orochimaru used the level 2 cure marks sparingly. So this is how she got by, doing nothing better than scraping by. In 2 years she had made friends with an old man who lived in the forest much like her. A healer, but he didn't use chakra in his healing. He was an old medicine man. He had done what he could, but she knew that it might be 20 years before she could walk well again. 20 fucking years too long. It was an agonizingly slow recovery for someone with strong Uzumaki heritage like her. Pathetic really, a 25-year recovery, ha. Some kunoichi she was. If she had the courage, she would crawl her way to the Leaf Village and offer her body as stock to rebuild the Uzumaki clan in exchange for being healed. But no, she would never subject herself to that. Never, not in a fucking million years would she bend her knee to the Hokage or anyone from that degenerate village. She cursed as pain, hot and familiar, shot through her legs, up under the kneecaps. Tayuya cringed as the door to the tree house opened and she stepped in, unsteady. She wobbled over and dropped onto her small bed with a whimper that belied her constant profanity. What did I do to deserve this? Kill a few people for Orochimaru? Is that really the only thing that put me here? The kami must be a fucking asshole. Tayuya lay on her bed, still, waiting for the agony to leave her legs. She needed to play a while on her flute. A jutsu to lure in animals from outside. The healer in the woods might be friendly, but he was averse to sharing supplies without some kind of trade, and she had nothing to give that he didn't have. After she had waited long enough to let the pain fade, she pulled out her flute. A sad smile graced her lips. This small wood flute had no combat potential. It couldn't handle the strain of her dense chakra. Wood like this would crack or even disintegrate with too much energy passing through it. Her agile mind could have worked out a way to create a song complex enough that it wouldn't destroy the instrument, but there really wasn't any point in doing so. So Tayuya sat up in bed and placed the simple instrument to her lips. She gathered her chakra in a thin ribbon. Then she started. It was a simple tune, but it carried well through the forest. The sweet melody sang out, filtering through the trees. A calming wave, like a ripple, followed the music. Not a genjutsu but an invitation. Come get some, you fuckers, come to sweet Tayuya so I can have a decent meal tonight. She played for a few minutes then stopped. After a short while no prey came to her open door. Annoyed she started again, playing a more peaceful tune, a lethargic melody. The small rises in the song brought her own mind peace as much as anything else. It didn't have the desired effect even after she played continually for a half an hour. She frowned, nothing still. Something must have scared anything away recently. I'd better stop before someone notices that the music is laced with chakra. The Leaf Village is still too close for comfort. Leaving off playing, Tayuya rested. Her body had tremendous healing powers, but as an Uzumaki, she didn't fully understand how they worked. So she slept as often as she could, both to heal faster and to forestall hunger. It seemed like it would be another long week. Days passed slowly, as they will when you're in constant pain. Tayuya was beginning to get desperate. No animal had come to her call in days she was weak, not to mention out of food. And soon she would have to make the long, exhausting journey to fetch water from the nearby stream. As dangerous a proposition as it was necessary. She didn't like the idea of dying from dehydration at all, so she was not looking forward to that. She did her absolute best not to focus on her deteriorating situation. It seemed that the more she healed, the less lucky breaks she caught. And a scary thought had been coming to her lately: have I depleted the resources in this territory? Did she really have to move to a more active location to survive? Some place with people where some passing Leaf Village patrol might recognize her. Leaving her relatively safe haven was something she dreaded. Other people would easily take advantage of a cripple. And Jinjutsu might not save her life, especially if the Leaf Village caught rumors of a red-headed girl weaving illusions among the civilians. She was very indiscreet. With her penchant for speaking her mind and taking nothing back, coupled with her physical condition, and the very fact of her red hair and violet eyes, well, it might not take much to get her killed. At the same time, she wasn't ready to give up and damn sure wasn't going to die. Tayuya survived another 2 weeks before giving up. No food, no water unless she made the trek to the stream. Her legs had stopped making any process. She guessed it was because of malnutrition, so with her options clear and her future uncertain, she set out for the Leaf Village. She hated to admit it, but there was no point in her going to another village. She would end up in Konoha one way or another sooner or later. If she tried to go to one of the smaller villages in the Land of Fire, it would only be a matter of time before someone caught a whiff of her existence. She knew that Konoha was almost generous in comparison to other hidden villages, but all the same, stumbling through the brush till she found the trail was easy. The journey down the long path would be hard. It was a day and a half walking to the village. Normally she would be there in 2 hours, but her legs made her move at a crawl. Still, she forced herself to walk normal. No fucking way she would let anyone call her a cripple or tease her for her injury. I think the best way to get into the village is to feign the injury harder than it is. Then I can identify myself as an Uzumaki and probably get entry to the hospital. Some medical ninjutsu would go a long way to shortening my recovery. She thought to herself about possible plans and deceptions all the way till night fell. She hadn't the strength to build a fire. Again, pathetic. She didn't deserve help. By all rights, she should have let herself stave so she didn't burden anyone else who actually had a purpose in life. She hurriedly brushed those thoughts aside. They would only haunt her. Her sleep was uneasy that night, and the next day she woke stiff. The journey to the Leaf was worse than before now. Every time she moved, legs or not, tears beaded in her eyes from the excruciating pain. The grinding sound coming from her kneecap started halfway, adding to the monotony of the journey. It took 5 more hours of torment before she found herself at the gates to the village. Her thoughts had long ago shut themselves off, trying to blot out as much feeling as she could. Anyone would have seen that she was on the verge of starvation. She didn't realize it, but the moment she walked under the great arch, she was being supported by one of the guards. Her breath gasped out with every step till she realized that she wasn't walking anymore. She looked up, her eyes catching the gaze of a man with brown spiky hair and a bandage over his nose. Tayuya remembered him vaguely. The realization didn't bring any flash of clarity to her numbed mind, though. If anything, it dropped her deeper into darkness. She was being carried for a while. 2 voices followed with her. A very small part of her brain told her that one was the gate guard and the other was a masked ANBU. Even that part shut off as the swish of doors opening signaled their entry to a building of some sort. Tayuya hoped it was a hospital and not a prison. She felt half dead. Naruto headed down the stairwell into the underground meeting room where he'd been called to attend. He had no idea this place existed. It was a complete secret even to him. He idly wondered if this was something old or recently constructed. If it was old, then he was surprised that he hadn't chanced upon it at least once, and if it was new, he was even more astounded that he hadn't been aware of the construction. After all, he prided himself on knowing most of what went on in his village. He'd only been back a little while from his training trip with the pervy sage, and already his lines of informants, a large selection of academy students, genin, and low chunin, had started to funnel information back to the boss. Naruto felt a surge of pride that the younger generation and even some of his peers looked up to him now. Naruto's mind was working on several things at once, as it was apt to do. Less than half of these mental projects had any viable use, but hey, who said anything about him being logical? But anyway, back to the bunker. It had the feel of old construction, but you never could tell. Old people tended to make stuff around them seem old too. He was unsure if this meeting would be different, but in his experience, admittedly not much, clan meets were the #1 place to go if you were looking for a gathering of old people. Naruto guessed that he was being called by Tsunade to debrief him finally on his trip with the Toad Sage. Jiraiya had left the village more than a month ago, and Naruto had expected Tsunade to evaluate him more. But other than the second bell test with Kakashi, nothing. And that annoyed him more than he was willing to admit, but not enough to start taking D ranks. Naruto grumbled to himself as he descended the stairs. Not even a mission. From the deep recesses of his mind came a purr like that of, well, to put it rather bluntly, a giant fox. Said giant fox seemed irritated as well, though in his usual bored manner. You're a demon brat. Why let you have any responsibility? Oh, shut up, furball. A sound like a blast of steam sounded in his mindscape. Humph! Call me that again and I'll be reciting mathematical equations while to talk with the clan heads, and I'll shrink your cage to the size of a hamster ball. It can go either way now, shove it. I'm going in. Naruto ignored the Kyuubi's annoying jabs and pushed open the door to the bunker-style meeting room. It had a low ceiling, but was still a bit over his head. Everyone else was sitting. Hayashi Hyuga, Chozen Akamichi, Shikaku Nara, and Inoichi Yamanaki sat to one side. With them were Hana Inuzuka and Kiba Inuzuka. He wondered why they were there. This was supposed to be 4 clan heads only. I remember now. Their mom is out on some sort of business for the clan or something. He recalled that one of his clones had overheard that on his way over here. On the other side sat the head of the Aburame clan, stern and silent. With him were Kakashi and Asuma. Kakashi sat next the end of the table with a diminutive girl. Her red hair and round face made her very attractive. He thought he recognized her from somewhere. Those angry purple eyes were a bit unnerving. Now I know I've seen her somewhere. I don't think we were friends either. He put the girl out of his mind, making the absolute minimum of bows to Tsunade as she sat at the head of the table across from him. Hey, what's up, Granny? He nimbly dodged a large paper weight, which sailed past his ear, putting a hole in the door behind him. His grin widened, as the Hokage growled angrily, "Be respectful to you elders, Naruto. And sit down, damn it." Naruto coughed as if she were missing something. About that I was kinda in the middle of something, so maybe you could tell me what's going on. The leaders of the various clans reacted to his manner in different ways. Chozen smiled while both Inoichi and Shikaku frowned. Hayashi raised one thin eyebrow in mild interest. The head of the Aburame clan, Naruto couldn't remember his name, acted very much like Shino, as in absolutely no response whatsoever. Kakashi and Asuma both looked at each other. Kakashi's look was a defiant "I told you so." Naruto even caught the slight glint as something shiny changed hands between the two. Naruto saw Hana and Kiba chuckle, drawing an angry look from both Tsunade and Inoichi. Hayashi inquired calmly, "And what is so important that you would arrive 20 minutes late to a meeting of clan heads, especially when you are part of the reason for its calling?" The blonde scratched his head. "Yeah, if someone had bothered to tell me it was actually something to do with me, I would have been on time. All I got was some mute ANBU handing me a note, you know. I can't help the fact that this place was pretty damn hard to find. I mean, I thought I'd found every secret hiding place in the village." He eyed Tsunade, trying to impart a non-verbal message to the Hokage. "Nothing is hidden from the prankster king of Konoha." Naruto shrugged. "As for what I was doing, I'd rather not say." "Call it training." Tsunade hissed, "Sit, Naruto, before I break something." He grinned. "Besides the door?" Then he sat down before she could lob another projectile at him. Tsunade sighed loudly and Naruto's eyes wandered around the room again. Immediately he noticed a man, back in the shadows. He was almost invisible, but Naruto knew he was no ANBU, and never being one to hold back, he decided to ask. "Hey Granny, who's the old fart in the corner? If he thinks he's hiding, he's doing a bad job. Is he a clan head too?" Tsunade blinked and turned around as if surprised. Everyone else in the room followed her gaze, except for the red-headed girl. She scoffed. "Took you idiots long enough to notice him. Is he more observant than clan elders? No wonder you guys get your asses handed to you every time you fight another village." She crossed her arms even as a look of intense pain slipped across her features. The clan heads turned to regard her for a moment before returning to the old man who had decided to step forward. His face was bandaged as well as his arm. He supported himself with a cane, and his piercing dark eyes reminded Naruto of a certain snake Sannin. He immediately disliked him. He spoke. "Yes, young man, I am a clan head, though I am very surprised you took such quick notice of me. The reason I hide is because I am part of the village's shadow. I aid the Hokage from the darkness, helping in all matters that must be kept discreet." Tsunade growled. "You were not invited, Danzo." The man stared Tsunade down. "I am the head of my clan, Tsunade Senju, as are you. We both have equal right to attend this meeting. Had you called it something else, I would have been in error to attend, but I am well within my rights to be here." Tsunade looked away from Danzo and to Naruto. "It doesn't matter at the moment." "Naruto, yeah?" She pinched her fingers over the bridge of her nose. "We have a problem. And unfortunately all the solutions have other problems attached. You will probably not like it either way." Naruto groaned. Okay, I'm going to take a wild guess here, something to do with me being an Uzumaki, right?" Everyone in the room shifted uncomfortably. Hayashi asked, "How did you come to that conclusion?" Naruto pointed at the girl next to Kakashi. "Her. She has red hair." There was a universal "so" from around the room. "She has purple eyes." They just looked at him uncomprehending. He groaned again. "Okay, let me connect the dots. I'm an Uzumaki. As everyone seems to like telling me over and over, I do not look like an Uzumaki. Uzumaki are supposed to have red hair. Am I right? Anyway, I've only ever seen like 2 other people with that color hair before. One of them was in a picture that old man Third used to keep on his desk. I know she was an Uzumaki. And then there's a girl me and Pervy Sage met last year." Naruto thought about it for a moment. "Actually, I've met another one before. She was a rogue nin that I ended up killing not too long after the chunin exams. She could kill people and steal the ability to use their chakra natures." He looked at the girl again, saying, And besides that, I'd swear I've seen her before. And I'm not really good with faces unless I've been in a fight with them. He struggled for a moment trying to recall where he'd seen her. That small frame, that red hair and those angry purple eyes. It was on the tip of his tongue. Then the girl turned on Kakashi. Can I fucking move yet? My legs are killing me, you ass. A light bulb went off over Naruto's head. I got it. You're that girl that Shikamaru and Temari took down. One of the Sound Five, but I thought you'd all been killed. Asuma gave Naruto a calculated look. You figured that out awfully fast considering you only fought for a moment, and never saw her again. What tipped you off? He answered simply, that's easy. I never met anyone who cursed as much as she did in 5 minutes. She put Sakura-chan and Ino-chan to shame. I still never figured out what some of her insults actually meant. That much was certainly true, he thought. Even Jiraiya had been unable to shed light on some of her more colorful descriptions. Naruto had no clue why she was here. He doubted it had something to do with Sasuke. If it did, then they wouldn't have told him. For fear that he would go rushing off after his longtime friend and rival. So that meant that there was some other purpose to bringing him in here to meet her. Hey Kyubi, I'm drawing a blank here. You got any clue what they want? I have a guess. Wait and find out for yourself. Naruto waited as she tried to bite Kakashi's throat out for shifting her the wrong way. Evidently she was injured somehow. He could almost feel her presence. At this distance he could sense the kinship. They had the same blood. That was for sure, but she seemed quite volatile. After a minute she calmed and Tsunade returned to the business at hand. She said, you are quite right, Naruto. You are here because you're an Uzumaki. More to the point. You're both here because you're Uzumaki. Naruto didn't realize what she was getting at. Then he saw the look on her face and the look on Kiba's face. The red head, fury, pain, embarrassment. Kiba, humor, sympathy, disbelief. The demonic chuckling from the back of his mind settled it. Naruto looked at Tsunade in something akin to horror. And as usual, he said the first thing that came to mind. You're as unhinged as that retired Orochimaru. He was pale. He realized that because his face had gone cold. He might have blushed instead if he hadn't been halfway between denial and anger. Tsunade sighed, wanting to get it over with. Naruto. You are the last official member of the Uzumaki clan. No other member has stepped forth to claim the clan name. You are 16, and that is the age at which heirs begin to look for a suitable partner. As much as I detest the idea, there isn't likely to be a better chance to restore the Uzumaki clan. Silence, more silence. Through an act of sheer will, Naruto focused his mind, calming himself. And for once the Kyubi didn't interfere or make any snide comments about his situation. He lamented the fact that he was so slow when it came to this stuff. Not having parents to teach him how the clans and politics worked forced him to think extra hard on this stuff. If only Pervy Sage were here. He'd stop this in its tracks, but what I don't get is why Tsunade is going along with this. I thought she was against the tradition of using people like breeding stock. The clan heads watched as Naruto sorted through his mind for an answer. Danzo stepped forward. He spoke slowly but commandingly. The decision is all but final. The village needs the Uzumaki clan to return. And as the head of your clan, it is your responsibility to strengthen your clan as much as you can. All you need do is agree. Naruto nodded, but I don't think so. You see, it's kind's part of my nindo. I really don't like it when people force me into stuff I don't like. He looked up into Danzo's dark eyes. I don't know you. You aren't Hokage, and that means as far as I'm concerned you can go jump off a cliff. As for the good of the village, why should I care? What have you done for me lately? Besides give me shit every time my birthday swings around? He didn't really mean all of that. He cared for the safety of the village regardless of what they had done to him as a child, but it would be good to see what their reactions were. He crossed his own arms, mirroring the girl. And my clan? Since I'm a male, any girl I married would automatically be an Uzumaki too. So I don't see why I'm stuck with her. Naruto gestured at her absently, and as for her in general, why the hell would I marry her? She's an enemy and works for Orochimaru. He leaned forward glaring at Tsunade. You finally figured out how to piss me off, Granny. Congrats. Now I thought you hated this kind of shit. I'm not some stud horse, and she isn't some nice quiet girl you picked off the street. Even if she wasn't a criminal, and I did agree to that, we'd end up slitting each other's throats before the clan got any bigger. Tsunade nodded and asked, You heard him, Danzo. He won't do it. He doesn't like any part of it, and neither do I. The number of times I've made it clear that we won't revive that heinous tradition is too high to count. As for what Naruto said, he has a valid point. Them marrying would only result in children with about 75% Uzumaki blood. Neither of them are pure Uzumaki. Danzo said that is far preferable to 25% if he marries a daughter from another clan. The village needs this, Tsunade. Do not let your feelings get in the way. Tayuya decided to speak up then. Can you sons of bitches get his over with? In case anyone doesn't know, both of my leg bones are fractured. I should be back in the hospital still, not watching you old fuckers argue over which motherfucker gets me as a damned prize. Tsunade growled, You need to deal with it for now. The sooner this is over and dealt with, the sooner I can take care of your injuries. A crack sounded through the room. Head turned. Naruto had brought his hand down on the table with enough force to splinter it. A jagged fissure ran down the middle. Everyone in the room, excluding the Abirame and Danzo, paled as he released killing intent in a wave. To everyone it seemed like the temperature had dropped several degrees while gravity became roughly twice normal. Kiba and Hana both choked on the foul aura. He demanded angrily, "You brought her here with broken legs? What kind of sick joke is this? If you're going to force her on me, fine. But heal her first, damn it. Do you know how many times I was denied entry to the hospital here when I was a kid? You can forget about this until I hear that she's been given proper medical attention." Chozen nodded in agreement. She should have been left in the hospital, as she says. And I agree with Naruto. It is very disrespectful to him to force the issue. It is also very cruel to her to demand that she wait so long for treatment. She sighed. Let them go about their business. I personally had training with my nephew and daughters today. Shall we resume this when the girl is healed? Tsunade nodded. Very well. Do you have any objects, Danzo? The old man shook his head. No, heal her wounds, then she may think differently of our proposal. Naruto stood and left a second later. He took the steps 3 at a time till he was racing out of the bunker and through the village. He made his way all the way back to his apartment. Once inside, he slammed the door. The hinges snapped off and it fell flat. Naruto growled and dropped down on his bed. I try to stay calm, but they keep pissing me off. Don't they understand how I think yet? I would never agree to marrying anyone who didn't want it. Especially if I don't want it either. And why the hell was Granny so damn cool-headed about it? Usually she'd fly off the handle. Kyubi's amused voice came from the back of his mind. That is simple. She is being pressured by the civilian council and many others, including that Danzo individual. You are right not to trust him. My other containers both despised him. But why is it so important that I marry an Uzumaki? And don't they get it? I'll marry who I choose and no one else. Clan responsibility? Technically I'm the last of my clan, so all my duty is to look after myself. An interesting way of putting it. What will you do then? First, I'll make it clear that I'm not agreeing to an arranged marriage. Fuck the civilian council. They hurt me enough. As for her, she is an Uzumaki. I could tell just by being close to her. I'll make sure she doesn't get used either. That's what I'll do for her. She did help the Uchiha escape to Orochimaru. Will you forgive her for that? Of course. I'll bet she was just manipulated like Sasuke. Besides, I wouldn't let anyone auction her off to the highest bidder, enemy or not. That's also part of my nindo. Do what I think is right. Not what other people tell you is good. Do you need help? Are you offering? Kyubi huffed. So what if I am? Then I accept. Just don't get any funny ideas, Fox. Naruto stood and moved to the center of the floor. Give me some chakra. I want to finish training where I left off. It's been a month and I'm close to mastering it. Very well. Tsunade walked up the stairs to Naruto's apartment, Shizen in tow. Her assistant keeping up a constant stream of worries and deadlines in her ear. Tsunade ignored her for the moment. She needed to speak with Naruto so the boy could be properly informed about what he was being dragged into, even if she couldn't tell him everything. Much of the information she wanted to give was classified, and in addition to that she had to do it before Danzo found some way to force her hand and drop Tayuya on Naruto without her permission. When she reached his apartment, the door was off its hinges, lying flat on the floor. Shizen gulped audibly. Naruto-kun wasn't happy with the meeting, I guess. Did he fly off into a rage? Tsunade shook her head. No, but he feels the same way about the practice of forced marriage and breeding out rare bloodlines. It's immoral and should be illegal except in a few select circumstances. But that wasn't really what set him off. I called the meeting before the girl had the chance to be fully healed. Her legs are in bad shape. Naruto realized that we'd dragged her into the meeting badly injured. I see why he's so angry. He broke his wrist when he was 7 and the hospital refused to treat him. Irika told me about it once. Naruto despises people who harm others for the sake of expediency. Shizen frowned. It might be difficult to sway Naruto into accepting her at this point. She was involved with Sasuke's betrayal. Tsunade nodded wearily and entered the apartment. Naruto. Are you in here? A voice from behind her and to the side spoke up. You bet. Now are you going to tell me what the hell is going on with that girl, or is this just going to be you apologizing for what must be done? Tsunade and Shizen turned to see Naruto leaning against the wall by the door. He looked ticked off, which as it also happened, he was. He said, I want to know what is going on. Where did she come from? Why is she here? And why does that old guy want the Uzumaki clan back so bad? He paused for a moment before asking, and who is he anyway? Sounded like he was a S-ranked asshole to me. The Hokage suppressed a mental chuckle and sighed. It's simple, Naruto. The Uzumaki clan has always been one of the most powerful clans in existence. Often seen as a match for the Uchiha and Senju. Your mother was a nearly full-blooded Uzumaki, and in her time was the undisputed strongest kunoichi in the village. Shizen looked surprised. Stronger than you, my lady? Tsunade said, yes, even stronger than me. Her mastery of seals was on par with any of the Kage in the lands, most of the time surpassing them. She even had the ability to use many powerful jutsu without weaving hand signs. That is how skilled she was with seals. And if you'll believe the stories that some used to boast about, She mastered level 8 Fuinjutsu in a single night. She sighed again, feeling incredibly old for saying it. You are her only descendant, and you have the potential to master all of the Uzumaki's most powerful sealing techniques. Only strong Uzumaki could even hope of using most of them. So the reason Danzo wants to force you into marrying her is that the next generation would have strong Uzumaki heritage, boosting the village's military strength. Over time the clan could be rebuilt from the ground up. Naruto looked between her and Shizen. So this is something that Danzo wants, not the village? Tsunade explained. Danzo and I both serve to protect the Leaf Village. The simple issue is that we rarely see eye to eye on how it should be done. Danzo favors drastic legislations and strict, rigid punishment. I like to rule with a more even hand. However, the civilian council has already been informed of the situation. I don't like it, but they have a lot of political power here. They want the village to be the strongest it can be, and a renewed Uzumaki clan would help. Naruto growled, but I don't like it. I hate being used like this or seeing anyone else used. I don't care what she's done in the past. She's basically family, right? And Uzumaki? I can't sit here waiting for a bunch of grown-ups deciding how she gets to live the rest of her life. Shizen smiled. We don't like this either, but the clan heads are in agreement. They don't like the idea any more than we do, however they know it would make the village stronger. And seeing how your mom was nearly SS ranked in the international bingo book, having a whole clan inside our wall would be. The Hokage pinched the bridge of her nose. She knew Naruto would eventually make things work out one way or another. You don't have to marry her, Naruto. No one can force it on you. But and don't take this the wrong way, if you don't marry her then I'm sure Danzo would think up something else horrible for her. There was a moment of silence while Naruto mulled it over. He looked up a second later. Oh shit, she's an A-rank criminal, right? So if I didn't agree then she might be sentenced to prison or executed, and if she is listed as an official prisoner then she forfeits our rights as a shinobi. That prick would be able to do whatever he wanted to her. Shizen looked amazed he thought of that, but nodded. That's true, Naruto, you see why your decision is so important. It is basically up to you to decide what becomes of her. It's part of your job as clan leader. Another silence descended. Naruto closed his eyes, thinking it over. I want to help her, but do I want to give up my chance to marry someone I like? An image of Sakura flashed into his mind. No, she's going to be used like some tool by the village if I let her go. I can't call myself Naruto Uzumaki if I let anything happen to her when it's my decision that makes or breaks the deal. I have to do what I can. You may be thinking about what goes on around you more, but you still don't think of everything. What of the Clan Restoration Act? What's that? The QB sounded aggrieved. A document that anyone can sign up for. The last male descendant of a clan may take more than one wife as insurance that the clan survives. I have no doubt that the Uchiha brat would have used it eventually to restart the clan, so I could marry her, and still be able to marry someone else who I actually loved. Yes. Tsunade watched as Naruto's frown disappeared. He looked up. Is there no other way to make sure she's not hurt? She shook her head. There are other ways, but they aren't assured to work. Naruto pulled his fingers through his spiky blonde hair. Fine, I'll do it. Just make sure she's healed properly and that no one messes with her. And even if I marry her, I'd better not get hounded about when there are kids on the way. You good with that, Granny? Tsunade sighed. Are you sure, Naruto? He growled. I'll apply for the Clan Restoration Act. I'm the last known male Uzumaki, so I can marry more than one girl, right? I wouldn't do this so easy if I was stuck with her. Both women agreed. Shizen asked. True enough, it lets you marry more than one woman. But how did you know about it? Naruto shrugged. Sasuke was always going on about rebuilding his clan. I just remembered him talking about it. He pushed away from the wall and turned to leave the apartment. Tsunade asked. Where are you going? He said, to talk to her at the hospital. What did you think? That I was going to let someone else tell her. If I'm stuck living with her then I need to start setting some ground rules. Otherwise she's going to kill me in my sleep or something. With that he dropped off the side of the building before heading for the hospital. Shizen shared a confused and startled look with Tsunade. When did he start think things through so clearly? It's like he's a different boy. Tsunade looked around the room. The floor had a large circular scar in the center, as though it had been scraped clean after it was covered in something unpleasant. You're right, Naruto is acting rather mature these days, and it's not just Jiraiya. Naruto was himself for Kakashi's bell test. I wonder what gotten into him. She saw something out of the corner of her eye, a strangely shaped kunai, sticking in the wall across the room. Tsunade frowned, her mind going back in time. But it didn't match, probably just some stunt weapon he bought with Jiraiya. Stupid kids these days. Tayuya decided that if there was anything or anyone in the world that she loved, it would be the kindly old man who healed her legs in about 20 minutes. More than 2 years of constant pain and anguish left her, and caused her to feel a fondness for him. That fondness was quick to evaporate though. The man quickly restrained her, tying her to the bed with the thick leather belts provided. Hey, what the fuck? Why are you tying me down, you old geezer? He didn't answer. Once she had been completely immobilized, he gave a small smile and left. Tayuya growled in anger. So they didn't trust her far enough to even let her walk on her newly healed legs? Bullshit. She looked around the room. It was fairly small with no window and bare white walls. The door wasn't barred, at least. As for herself, a thin white hospital gown with noting underneath. She didn't care about being almost nude. It never bothered her before, but it made her feel vulnerable. And that was a feeling she would never be comfortable with. Her mind wandered to the meeting that had been postponed. The blonde boy looked to be her same age. She'd only realized who he was after his last name had been mentioned. He was the same as the kid who had pulled a fast one on her in Saigon, and he was the default clan leader now. At 16 you were technically an adult, and if you were a shinobi you could be called an adult as soon as you made chunin. She assumed he was at least 16. This meant that she was actually almost 2 years older than him, despite her small size. He on the other hand was tall with short, spiky blonde hair and deep blue eyes. He wasn't physically imposing, but he did exude an aura of power. She thought that it probably came with being a Jinchuriki. That damn brat was probably laughing himself silly after. I bet he likes the idea of having his own sex slave. Asshole thinks I'll just agree to marry him because I'm an Uzumaki. He's got another thing coming. A pleasant, but sarcastic voice from the door asked, "Do you always curse so much even when you're alone, or did you know I was here to listen?" Tayuya whipped her head to the source of the voice, but saw nothing. Then here was a ripple through the air and Naruto materialized out of thin air. He was very tall in comparison to her. He wore a black jacket with dark orange stripes down the sides. Along with that was a pair of black pants and combat sandals. His headband had been removed and was tied around his arm. She examined him, trying to gauge what he was thinking. She didn't know what he was up to and it made her uneasy. Naruto sighed. "Well, if you didn't already know, I'm Naruto." "And you're Tayuya, right?" She didn't answer. He obviously didn't expect her to because he didn't stop speaking. "Granny explained your situation to me. It seems like I have to decide what happens to you. If I don't take you then Danzo gets first dibs. And if you're in prison for your crimes against the Leaf then you lose all rights as a shinobi, which means he could do pretty much anything to you." His words hung in the air like several tons of stone ready to fall. She was prepared for his inevitable next words. He scratched the back of his head. "So I decided to agree to marrying you. It should help keep you out of his hands for now. I figured it would be better for me to tell you than Granny or some random A&BU." Tayuya's face twisted in anger. "How goddamn noble of you, asshole." Naruto shouted, "Listen. Do you think I like being stuck in this situation? I'm only 16, you know. I don't want anything to do with this. I hate arranged marriages," she answered him, pulling at her restraints. "So why are you agreeing to it? It just makes you a fucking hypocrite." "I get it. You hate the Leaf Village. When did you figure that out, shithead? But unless you'd rather go to prison and get sold out for your Uzumaki heritage, this is the best option." Tayuya hissed, "What if I refuse? You can't force me to marry you. And unless you're planning on raping me, you'll never get me to bear your children." Naruto looked away from her. "Face it, Tayuya. I'm only trying to help you and I would never rape anyone. Besides, they wouldn't give you a choice otherwise." "Oh really? So you're just trying to help now?" She spat at him. "You mean you just want to get laid? Let me tell you, asshole. Lay one finger on me and I cut your dick off." He clenched his fists. She was pissing him off with her constant insistence that he was some kind of selfish monster. "Just who do you think I am? Some pervert pretending to help? What I'm trying to do is go with the option that is easiest for you. The one that will hurt the least." Naruto growled. "You're lucky I care enough to help." She looked at him, venomously. "And why do you care?" He glared at her. "Because it's what I think is right. That's why. It isn't fair to make you marry me and trust me. I don't want it either. But it is better than the alternative." Tayuya closed her eyes, which is imprisonment, rape, torture, experimentation, and likely execution. Naruto turned to face her, stepping forward. "That's right. So are you going to give up and let me help where I can, or should I just go find Danzo and tell him that are ready for him?" She paled and glanced away from him. At the moment she didn't look like a former member of the Sound Five. She looked like an angry and scared teen. Which she also was, at least as far as he could tell. Tayuya was smart. So even if she cursed him out, she'd come around eventually. Tayuya watched him in return. She cursed inwardly. She hated this place so much. Hated everything about this village. And worst of all, it seemed like the easiest and least painful course was the one Naruto was offering. The fact that he'd come to speak with her himself boded well, at least. He was an honest person if nothing else. And he wasn't stupid, it seemed. She let out a sigh. "I want to kill you." He smirked. "I kinda figured that." She asked. "And how do you know that I won't sneak into bed with you and slit your throat the moment you sleep?" He shrugged. "I'm not the only person who wants to help you, Tayuya. But if you kill me, there will be no one who wants to save your skin. Tsunade and the other clan heads would throw you to Danzo so fast, you wouldn't realize what happened." Naruto's jaw clenched. "I would bet that you just end up in the same situation, except with someone less nice." Tayuya snapped. "And you're so fucking nice. Barging in here and telling me to come along like a good little bitch. Your luck I'm strapped down." He turned around again. "You don't get it, Tayuya. I don't like you either, but I'm still offering to help." She gritted her teeth. "Just out of the kindness of your heart, right, and you have no other motive at all." "I don't fucking believe it." Naruto stiffened. "What? Do you think I actually want to marry you for some reason?" She shouted. "Yeah, I do, fuckface. I think you're just like your perverted teacher. That ugly damn toad freak." A moment passed and neither of them spoke. When Naruto moved again, he was walking towards the door saying, "I don't know why you have to make things so hard. Which would you rather happen? Get stabbed or punched?" "I wouldn't want either, but the fact is that you don't have that option. I'm the lesser of two evils." Naruto stopped just outside the door and looked back at her. "If you want to fuck yourself just to get at me, go ahead. It's your funeral. I won't stop you. Now I have training to do. I'll see you when they call the clan meet again." Tayuya watched as the door closed with a near silent click. Naruto was gone, leaving her with her thoughts. It was tempting to tell Naruto to go fuck himself and let Danzo do what he wanted with her, but she didn't want to do that. Even if it meant being forced to live with that boy. He wasn't lying to her. He wouldn't take advantage of her. That was more than she could have said for her own teammates in the Sound 5. And after all, if Naruto never forced himself on her, it might be years and years before she ever had to do anything with him. He didn't seem like he would be as annoying as Sakan or Jirobo. It wouldn't be torture to live in the same house with him, and from what she'd been told, her crimes would be cleared. This seems like a very easy option to take, so why do I feel like there is something else to this? That Danzo fucker wouldn't give up on all his plans for me, just to marry me off to Naruto. He would at least reserve the right to experiment on me like Orochimaru. I must be missing something. She tried to think through all the possibilities. Naruto was the best option, just like he said. And he was an Uzumaki, not that it mattered, but she felt fractionally better knowing they were from the same clan. She'd never known what it was like to have one, so it felt strange to think about it. There was a chance that all of this was for naught, and he would end up slaving under Danzo anyway, but for now she was safe. Tayuya allowed her body to relax and enjoyed the feeling of no pain. She almost couldn't feel her legs. They seemed numb after years of agony. A thought entered her mind then, incongruous after all that had happened in the last few hours. Will I ever be a ninja again? Tayuya sat to the left of Tsunade 2 days later. All of her injuries, both major and minor, had been healed. She felt physically perfect, but mentally she was balanced on the edge of a razor. Not long after Naruto had left, perhaps an hour later, Danzo had appeared in her room. She would never forget his intricate and detailed descriptions of what would happen to her should Naruto choose not to marry her. It didn't bear thinking about. And then the day before this one, Tsunade had come with the head of the Yamanaka clan to speak with her. It had ended fairly well, she supposed. Tsunade had asked what her choice would be. For obvious reasons she said that she would rather marry Naruto. Tsunade explained that the wedding would be different from others, non-existent. In the legal sense they would be married, but the rest of the village wouldn't know. To all outward appearances she would just be living with Naruto. It would only be made official at such a time when she became pregnant, or if Naruto decided to make it known. However, Tsunade told her that she would not be leaving the hospital to live with Naruto until Inoichi assured her that she wouldn't try to escape or harm anyone in the leaf. She had promised that she wouldn't, and Inoichi had proceeded to delve into her thoughts, looking for false feelings. Any other time she would have mind-screened him out of her head, but she forced herself to stay calm. Even as the blonde man rifled through her life and thoughts like a skilled jeweler looking through gemstones, in the end it was determined that she was telling the truth. Tsunade said that the rest would be explained at the clan meeting the following day, so here she was waiting. Everyone was here except for Asuma, who was needed for a mission. Also, Danzo hadn't bothered to hide his presence this time. His icy stare was very much clear to the rest of the room, and yet again they were waiting for Naruto. She wondered if he was always this late. Then the door to the meeting room opened and there was Naruto. Everyone reacted to him in different ways. Most were simply shocked by his appearance. Kakashi chuckled, relieved that Naruto was up to his usual antics. Tsunade blinked her shock away. Naruto was wearing the tattered remains of his jacket. His pants were filled with holes and every thread on his person as badly singed. However, his skin wasn't even scratched. There was soot in his hair, which he ruffled as he walked forward. Chozen asked, "Naruto, what happened to you? It looks as though you were hit with an explosive tag." Naruto stuck his finger in his ear and twisted it around. "Sorry, what was that? My ears are still ringing a bit. Honestly, your guys have like the worst timing in history. Good thing I'm more durable than your ANBU messenger." "He's out cold?" Tsunade inquired. "You were training, I take it?" "With what?" He scratched the back of his head nervously. "Nothing really, just a new jutsu I'm working on. It tends to blow up in my face when I get distracted." Anyway, Naruto sat down at the close end of the table looking towards Tayuya. He asked, "You better now?" She nodded curtly. "I'm fine, idiot." He raised one eyebrow. "Okay, well, Granny, should we pick up where we left off, or are things pretty much settled?" Chozen and Hayashi shared a look. "Did something drastic happen while we were gone? Has the matter been closed?" Tsunade shook her head saying, "Naruto has agreed to marry Tayuya as asked. She has also agreed to the arrangement, granted that her record is wiped clean and no negative actions are taken towards her from now on. Also, she has made it clear that she doesn't wish to become a homebound wife. She wishes for the chance to become a Leaf Village shinobi sometime in the future." She turned to Inoichi. Inoichi has searched her mind and finds no traces of deceit. She will move in with Naruto as a roommate for now. When the time comes that she is with child or Naruto wants it to be official, then they will move to the old Uzumaki embassy. It will be renovated in expectation of that time. Naruto has asked that he be allowed to apply for the Clan Restoration Act as part of the deal. Hayashi nodded, a wise decision. But as I have been told by my daughter Hinata, you live in a very small apartment. Is there room for 2 people to live in such a cramped space? Especially since I doubt she will be leaving your apartment for the first few weeks. Others will need to be alerted of this proceeding's result before she is seen in public. Naruto sighed, I have enough money to buy a bigger place, but I've been gone for the better part of 2 years. I'm used to having very little space to myself. It's up to her how she feels about it. Danzo muttered, you are surprisingly welcoming to an enemy ninja. I did not expect you to consider her wishes important. There was a murmur of agreement around the table. Naruto gave Danzo a dirty look, cut the crap, Gramps. I'm not like you and ever will be. I have friends in every secret village. Actual friends. I'm not going to mistreat her just because she used to be an enemy. Besides, there's no point for her to try and hurt me, so why hurt her? Kakashi coughed, well, as the leader of Squad 7 I must say that we are currently short-handed. I wouldn't usually suggest letting an enemy nin join a squad until they prove themselves loyal to the village, but Inoichi says that she's safe enough. I can have her on Squad 7 as a way to earn some trust. Tsunade shook her head, not yet, Kakashi. Maybe another time. For now she needs to adjust to the village. I suspect it will be harder than she thinks. She turned to Naruto. I'll ask again. Are you sure you are okay with this? After all, you are only 16. Most shinobi don't marry until their early 20s. Naruto grinned, yeah, well, most shinobi aren't Jinchuriki either. And I don't know many who trained with the Toad Sage. I've never been cut out for normal. So I still haven't mastered my new technique, so could we hurry this up? It's not like we're exchanging vows, are we? 'Cause I'm not sure that I could do that without it getting awkward. By Tsunade, Tayuya said, you can all forget about wedding vows. I ain't saying any of that shit to him even if we're married. There was a rustle of cloth and Danzo drew forth a scroll. He bent forward and placed it in front of Tayuya. He said, sign your name at the bottom, girl, next to the symbol. She obliged and the scroll was passed down the table to Naruto. Danzo gestured to him, signed just above hers. He did so and passed it back around to Tsunade. The Hokage signed it quickly and blew the ink dry. She nodded to Danzo, this is done. Take it and process it. The older man nodded and left the room. Naruto would have swore he saw a smug smile on Danzo's face. It left him with a sour feeling that wouldn't immediately go away. He looked to Tsunade. Anything else? Yes, Naruto, don't be so impatient. There are a few things that need to be attended to. First of all, your mother was the last head of the Uzumaki clan. She sealed dozens of important documents and items away for a time when her descendants might need them. They need to be taken from the village vault and sorted through. You're the only one who can do it, unfortunately. I have slight traces of Uzumaki blood, but not enough to activate the seals. Hayashi asked, just how large an inheritance does he have from his mother? As I recall, she tended to save everything she made. There should be a large estate. Tsunade pulled out a document from her sleeve. This is a short record of the general contents of the inheritance from Kushina Uzumaki. It shows only the basics though. Pass this to Naruto. Naruto took the scroll as Hayashi handed it to him. He opened it. His eyes scanned down a long list of items till he came to the figure at the bottom. Holy fuck, she had a king's ransom and money you'll never lack for funds, it seems. You got that right. Hey, why didn't you tell me about this? You should have known. Wasn't my mom your last container? Yes, but she always kept me tightly bound. Her chakra was particularly dense and strange. I was always under the tightest of bindings with her. I rarely saw what was going on outside. Oh well, still, I've never seen so many zeros before. I guess this is from like the whole clan, right? I suspected compensation to the Uzumaki clan from the Leaf Village. You remember what I told you about the destruction of the Uzumaki clan? Yeah, I suspect this isn't a good time to bring it up. You're probably right about that. Tsunade asked, something wrong, Naruto? He blinked as he looked down the scroll. Actually, this doesn't make sense. There's a bunch of numbers here for something. They're not locations, are they? There was a moment of silence before the head of the Aburame clan spoke. They are most likely the designation for specific jutsu in the forbidden scroll of the village. Jutsu invented by the Uzumaki. Naruto's eyes widened for a second. Cool, so there must be some pretty awesome moves to learn, huh? I got to look into that stuff since I just started working on sealing jutsu. What is this right here? A deed to a house on the north end of the village? Tsunade nodded. That is also part of the inheritance, but it isn't available to you yet. Certain requirements need to be met. And before you ask, no, I can't tell you what those are. He continued down the list, noting things that he didn't understand. It seemed like either his mother or the clan had owned lots of stuff in the village. Most of this was rented out already. Maybe that's where all this money is from. If the Uzumaki clan owned all this property and was renting it out to people, then it's been collecting money for the last I don't know how many years. Naruto put down the scroll. Okay, lots of stuff. I had no clue there was this much. Pervy Sage told me that mom had some inheritance for me after I turned 16. but I never knew it was well so much. He scratched the back of his head. But on another topic, if Tayuya is staying at my apartment, then it's going to be a problem. Glancing at Shikaku, who had yet to speak so far, Naruto said. The thing is that Shikamaru and me have been hanging out a lot lately. And he's about the most observant person I know besides Kakashi-sensei. He'd recognize her the second he saw her. Then there would be a huge mess and the whole village would know. Not to mention my other friends stopping by. Sakura is always coming to try and drag me to some lame mission. I'm pretty sure she'd blow something important if she saw Tayuya there. Shikaka sighed. I understand that. Effective immediately, all of the shinobi are to be informed of her presence. Those who know her will be advised of her status. Those who don't will be told that she is your girlfriend. Not such a big lie since you're technically married as of 5 minutes ago. He looked at Tayuya. Are you prepared to do some acting when required to keep up the illusion until it is no longer needed? She glared at him, her expression and body language showing instant anger. Yes. Tayuya turned her gaze on Naruto. Don't get any bright ideas, Uzumaki. He let a smirk cross his lips. You don't need to tell me that. I already know you're an antisocial paranoid. Tayuya looked like she'd been slapped. Her cheeks flushed red in both anger and embarrassment. She shouted, Shut up. Naruto asked Tsunade, what about the details on why she's here and where she came from? It's not like I can just say, hello everyone, meet my girlfriend Tayuya. Don't bother asking about her past. She doesn't have one. He glanced at her. I mean, it's going to seem really sudden. I ever exactly had any girlfriends before, so. Tsunade groaned. Yes, Naruto, we're still working on that. For now, she needs to stay at your apartment and have minimum contact with others. I hope you can deal with that accordingly. And don't leave her unattended all day either. You have a bad habit of being so completely engrossed in your training that you forget to eat or sleep. He cringed, remembering the week he'd spent mastering Rasengan. Almost no food or rest for days. I guess you're right. Will someone drop by with the details, or do I need to bring her to Hokage Tower to be briefed? Shikaka said. Someone will stop by with her backstory. We're not sure how long it is possible to keep this a secret. But it should be simple once the right parties have been informed. Naruto felt relieved at that. Perhaps it wouldn't be as much of a pain as he thought it would, but then again. He had a feeling that Tayuya and his small apartment was a potentially explosive combination. She is pretty aggressive like Sakura, and she's got an even bigger mouth. Makes me wonder if we could possibly get along. Especially after that argument back in the hospital. Taking a deep breath, he looked around again, gauging the looks he was getting from the various clan leaders. It was slightly unnerving knowing that rank-wise he was on par with them now. It's almost the same as a sudden promotion to Jonin just because I got older. Naruto let out his breath. Anything else? Tsunade nodded. A few things left. Then you can go. Tayuya looked around Naruto's apartment. It was indeed small, but no smaller than her room in Orochimaru's base had been. And it was larger than the room carved into the base of the tree. That had been almost closet-sized, but that wasn't the problem she had with it. The problem was the blonde who had taken a seat on the bed. He looked at her warily, suspicion in his eyes. She ignored him for a moment and stepped around the room. A dresser with clothes, some ninja gear on top of it. Another bion window had a large scroll set out on its surface. She thought it looked like a summoning scroll. There was another window by the bed. It had a couple pictures on it. One was of Squad 7. Naruto and Sasuke were glaring at each other over a pink-haired girl's head. Kakashi Hatake stood over them with a hand on their heads. Beside that was another picture. This one showed Naruto, a bit older, with the toad sage. Her attention was caught by the third one. It was a distance shot. Naruto could be seen sitting on top of the fourth Hokage's monument. From the perspective, it looked like it had been taken from the roof of the Hokage's tower. She glanced at Naruto and back at the picture. Something puzzled at the back of her mind, nagging her, like phantom itch. Tayuya turned away from the pictures. Naruto was watching her carefully. His deep blue eyes curious, but still edgy. She asked, What? You were so damn sure of yourself back in the meeting room. What the fuck happened? You look nervous now. He shrugged easily. Nothing, just wondering is all. About what? He blinked. You're a bit nosy. Fine. I was wondering if you're planning on trying to escape. Or do something else stupid. You act smart, but sometimes you say stuff that doesn't make any sense. And after signing that contract, we're pretty much stuck living together. Permanently, so I guess I was really wondering what kind of person you were. Tayuya straightened. Well, I guess that it would probably be nice if I told you about me. But there isn't much to tell. Besides, I still don't think you really care. You're just pretending to be concerned so you can get what you want. That's how the world works. Orochimaru was no different. And neither is your Hokage. They both say nice things so they can fuck you over later. Orochimaru abandoned me even though he would have known that I didn't die since I still have my curse mark. She sneered. You want something from me, which is why you agreed to something that inconveniences you. I just haven't figured out what your twisted idea is. Or what it has to do with me. Naruto smirked. You're more paranoid than anyone I've ever met. Well, actually there are a few people who are worse than you, but at a small number. He stood and leaned in close. You need to figure out that some people don't have any horrible plans hidden away. And you don't? Naruto shook his head. I have goals. First, I want to get Sasuke back. I made a promise to Sakura-chan to bring him home. And then I want to become Hokage so I can protect everyone I've come to know as friends. That's my main goal. It's what I live for. She gave him a questioning look. How does helping me get you closer to becoming Hokage? Simple. It doesn't. If I think about it, it's probably hurting me. Since I'm putting so much time into keeping you from Danzo and the village, I might not have as much time to train or go on missions. And I'm sure that it's going to be a hassle as soon as my friends find out about you. Tayuya glared at him. So, why help me? He cringed a bit at the volume. Hey, listen, my ears are a bit sensitive, okay? Don't shout so much. It's giving me a headache. She threw her hands in the air, exasperated. Damn it. Why are you doing this? I don't believe that it's out of the kindness of your heart. This is the shinobi world, the age of the ninja. People don't do that shit. Naruto's eyes flashed as he lost his temper. His palm connected with her cheek, the harsh sting taking her completely by surprise. His voice was almost a growl as he griped her shoulder painfully. Listen, Tayuya. I'm not your damned enemy. I am trying to help you because you were taken advantage of. You've probably lived through hell for as long as you can remember. I lived through the same. This entire village hated me. Most of the people still think I'm an uncontrollable monster. He closed his eyes, which were starting to burn with the anger flaring up inside him. His chest was beginning to hurt too. I want to help people, to prove I'm not the same as the demon inside me. You are someone I can help. So stop insulting me for trying. Naruto released her quickly and turned around. His heart was beating too fast. His chakra was erratic, even his breath was coming out as a purr. He hurriedly stepped into the bathroom and looked in the mirror. That's right, pervy sage loosened the seal. When I get angry or stressed out, my chakra mixes with the Kyuubi's. Damn it. Now Tayuya is going to be freaked out. His eyes were a murderous crimson, so deep that blood might have been lighter in color. Darker than an Uzumaki's hair. It's no wonder Sensei almost pissed himself after opening the seal too much. I look evil. Naruto gazed into the angry eyes of his reflection. He'd never seen himself in a mirror right after drawing on the power of the Kyuubi. It was scary even as he watched the red faded, draining out of his iris until only blue remained. A moment later the slit pupil opened. In the doorway Tayuya said, You looked like a demon just now. Does that happen all the time? He glanced back at her. Sometimes. Not often. Depends on how stressed I am. Almost killed the toad sage when he pissed me off during training. I see you're not scared. That's good for me, I guess. I don't have to worry about you going ballistic on me. She tilted her head, seeming curious. Would you kill me if I made you too angry? He chuckled. Probably. Even though I trained to 2 years, I still have no control. Just to warn you, Tayuya, if you ever see me grow a tail that looks like it's made of red chakra, you'd better run. Why? Naruto smiled at her. 'Cause that's when I really lose control. It's only happened a couple times, but there isn't a whole lot that can get in my way when it happens. And he looked back at his reflection. If you see more than one tail, you'll probably die anyway. Tayuya asked, a bit puzzled. And why not say, fuck the village? You're strong enough to do what you want, right? If the village hates you, then you should make them fear your power. Kill a few of them, and they'd leave you alone. And if you were strong enough, you could do whatever the hell you wanted. He turned back to her and stepped close. He prodded her hard in the chest. Because that's not my ninja way. I protect my friends and I'm loyal to my village. The 4th Hokage sealed the 9 tails in me for a reason. I'm the one who has to master its power. Once I do that, I can defend the village from anyone who tries to harm it. Then the village will stop hating me and start respecting me. He moved around her and back into the main room. He looked around at the small chamber. A thought occurred to him. He glanced back at Tayuya. She caught the look. He seemed to be mulling something over. After a moment he made a quick hand sign and a plume of smoke enveloped him. As it cleared, she saw 3 clones. They nodded to their master before leaving the apartment. Naruto groaned and dropped back on the bed. She moved back into the room with her arms crossed. She wanted to know where he'd sent the clones but figured he wouldn't tell her. It was making her uneasy that he kept up the act of being a kind person. Jinchuriki weren't nice people. Sure, they had it rough. Even rougher than she'd had it. But they were still shitty people. Everyone knew that. Having the demon inside turned them into hair-trigger maniacs who were just as likely to kill you as look at you. It reminded her of Yugo from the far northern hideout that Orochimaru maintained near Kumo. That man was a crazed lunatic, and he wasn't even in Jinchuriki. The fact that Naruto had the Kyuubi inside him. The biggest, strongest, most evil of the demons, it proved that he was trying to pull something over on her. Some deception that she was either too slow or too ignorant to notice. I'll just have to wait and see what happens. But after that little outburst, Kami knows I'm not going to try and piss him off. I don't have a death wish. When she looked down at him again, his eyes were closed. Did he fall asleep? Who does he think I am? He can't be that trusting. Tayuya glanced around for some place to sit down and saw none. The bed was the only place to rest besides the floor. She gritted her teeth. So that's the game right now. If I want to sleep, it'll be on the floor or with him. And he told me he wasn't a fucking pervert. Like I could believe him. She moved to the other side of the room and sat down. Her eyes still focused on the blonde. He looked asleep, but he probably wasn't. In her mind she guessed that he was waiting for her to go and sit on the bed. Or even lay down with him. The narrow bed would have just barely enough room for them both to fit without touching. And that was if one of them laid on their side. Irritation crept into her mind as she watched him doze. It was ticking her off more and more every minute. Just then there was a knock at the door. Naruto's eyes opened and he bolted out of bed. Tayuya's shout was stifled by a hand as he hustled her into the bathroom. He didn't speak, but put a finger to his lips, signaling silence. Then the door shut. She cursed him mentally, but stayed silent. She pressed her ear to the door, hoping to catch some of the conversation. She heard the door open, followed by an overenthusiastic greeting. Naruto! My rival! It is time that we fight, for you have prolonged our long-awaited match long enough. I long to meet you as youthful combat. Tayuya's sweat dropped at the challenge. This guy sounds like a complete loser. Naruto's reply was somewhat less than energetic. Sorry, bushy brows, but I can't spar right now. Maybe another time. Ah, but Naruto! You have returned from 2 years training with the legendary Jiraiya. You should be shouting your readiness to test your mettle, Naruto said. Not now, Lee. I can't train or spar. I have other stuff to do. Okay, fine, but when you are free, you must fight with me. I will see you soon, my fearsome rival. Naruto sounded slightly aggrieved. Yeah, sure. The door closed with a snap. A moment later the door to the bathroom opened. Naruto apologized. Sorry about that. Lee gets out of hand. But at least he didn't kick in the door like he usually does. Tayuya spared him an annoyed look. You have weird friends, or should I say mentally unstable. He agreed. Yeah, most of us have something crazy going on. Lee is a training lunatic. 10-10, his teammate is crazy about weapons and Niji Hyuga. You've met him, I think. He has no social skills and is overpolite to the point that he's rude. She didn't know what to think about his easy acceptance of them. She asked, how can you stand being around them? How can I stand being around you? You're louder than Lee, more foul-mouthed than Sakura, and even more insulting than Niji, and you aren't polite at all. The only thing I like about your personality is that you're blunt. At least I don't have to worry about you saying something you don't mean. She smacked him upside the head. Hey! What was that for? She sneered. What do you think? He rubbed the side of his head saying, I think you take things too seriously, and you can't take what you dish out. You keep insulting me and my friends, but you get mad when I tell you how you act. I should be asking what you're thinking. Naruto turned away from her. If you want to sleep on the bed instead of on the floor, try being a bit nicer. Tayuya steamed and shouted, why would I want to sleep with you? He moved to take his place on the bed again. I'm not asking you to sleep with me. What do you think I sent the clones for? I told them to go buy a bed that we can fit in the cornet once I move the dresser. And the other one was going to get you the usual stuff. Yeah, no toothbrush, toothpaste, hairbrush, etc. She blinked in surprise. You really sent them out to do that? He glanced at her. Do I have to keep telling you, I'm helping you? And because of that you are living in my apartment. It would be rude if I didn't at least get you a bed of your own. Besides, you'd probably attack me if I suggested using the same gear for cleaning and stuff. Tayuya smirked. You're not as stupid as I thought. He closed his eyes and said sarcastically, thanks for the compliment. Later that night Tayuya lay in her own bed, listening to the sound of Naruto sleeping. She didn't like him not one bit, but she respected him slightly more now than she had that morning. He was considerate at least. Not something people generally were towards her, and confusing. His motivations didn't match up with how he'd been treated by the village. Anyone who had suffered the scorn of their entire village like that didn't just turn around and want to be the hero. It made her blood boil thinking about it. If she were Naruto, this place would be only slightly better off than it would have been if Orochimaru succeeded in destroying it. Everything about Naruto was a mystery. She was stuck wondering, did he really have something up his sleeve or was he just unhinged? I don't know which one I prefer. If he's just plotting something, then he's normal. Everyone deceives others and tries to get what they want any way they can. I couldn't hate him for being normal. But on the other hand, if he is actually a good guy and he's doing this just because he doesn't want to see me suffer, I can't hate him for that either. Fuck. I can't justify being pissed at him either way. She rolled over, looking across the room at him. He looked handsome. At least when he wasn't wearing orange. She didn't like that color very much. Too garish. She liked red, purples, and blues. Orange was tacky. Something else she might have liked about him was his smile. He seemed to smile a lot, but it always looked fake to her, something she had to admit though he was tall. It was a bit strange. His height must have been from his father. Tsunade said his mother was an Uzumaki and Uzumaki tended to be on the small side, like her. He had the rounded face of an Uzumaki, and the eyes. Unlike hers, he had the rich blue that looked like the sea after a storm. Shit! What am I thinking about? She rolled on her back, unable to believe what she had just been doing. I was doing some sort of girlish inventory of his looks. Fuck, I'm not some damn fangirl to go admiring beauty. Shit, damn, fuck. He's messing with my head. Tayuya forced her eyes closed and willed herself to sleep. Naruto yawned mightily. Light steamed through the window over his face as he stretched. He sniffed the air and froze. His keen sense of smell picked up a strange flowery scent. And mixed in with it was another slightly musky one. He sat up quickly and slipped off the bed, wondering what it could possibly be. Naruto halted at the bathroom door. The sound of movement clicked something in his mind. A prickling sensation on the back of his neck, his body's warning of imminent danger, signaled the door's opening. The bathroom door swung open and he was face to face, or near as he could be with the height difference, with Tayuya. She had put on the clothes she was wearing the day before, but her hair was damp. A towel was wrapped around her head, keeping the wet hair off her neck. Naruto registered her expression as it changed from calm to wrathful. Twack! Tayuya's hand chopped into a pillow as Naruto substituted with the one on his bed. Her eyes went wide a second before she was engulfed in white down feathers. She thrashed for a moment as they descended to the floor. Naruto watched as the hail of white cleared. Tayuya glared at him. All of her exposed skin, which was still damp, was now covered in feathers. She pushed out her lower lip and blew hard, clearing some of the fluff that clung to her face. Naruto guessed that it probably wouldn't do any good, but he said it anyway. Sorry, Tayuya. She removed her towel from around her head and used it to wipe the annoying down off her face and arms. She kept her frosty glare on his the whole time. When she was done, she moved to her own bed and sat down. He noted that she didn't look very rested. There were dark circles under her eyes and he was sure that she hadn't slept the night before. Seeing how her bed was an even greater mess than his. In addition to that, she continued to radiate anger at him, as though she were trying to burn holes with her gaze alone. Naruto looked away from her and to the savage remains of his pillow. He quickly made a shadow clone. The copy cleaned up the mess and disappeared in a puff of smoke. A few minutes passed before he muttered, "Good morning, Not." She made no move to remove her weighty gaze from him. He was starting to feel like an ant under a magnifying glass. Eventually he felt compelled to break the mood. "Listen, I don't know what is wrong with you, but could you stop staring at me like that? It's starting to get to me," she smiled. Naruto groaned, irritated. "Okay, we are not going to get along if you are trying to goad me into getting angry. If you want me lose it, and beat the shit out of you, go ahead and mess with me." Tayuya smirked. "Maybe I'm just getting revenge." "On what?" She shrugged. "Nothing." Naruto growled. "What did I do to you since yesterday? Are you staring me down because you walked out at the wrong time and got feathered? Or are you trying to claim that you're getting revenge for me buying you a bed and everything? 'Cause if you want to sleep on the floor that bad, I'll take your bed and put it next to mine and sleep real good." Tayuya shrugged. "It's for keeping me up all night." He shouted. "I do not snore." "And what if I say you do?" "Then you'd be lying," Tayuya demanded. "And how would you know if you snore or not? You're the one sleeping." Kakashi watched them argue for the better part of 10 minutes. Both of them getting louder and louder until it became unbearable. He rapped the window frame with one metal-backed glove, alerting them to his presence. "Well, you two certainly get along well for newlyweds. Tell me, how's the honeymoon going?" Both of them froze. Naruto asked, slightly horrified. "How long have you been there, Kakashi-sensei?" The Jonin said bluntly. "About 10 minutes. Tayuya looked mortified. Naruto decided to pretend that nothing happened. He let his shoulders relax. "What did you need, sensei?" Kakashi scratched his chin thoughtfully. "Well, I was just passing along some info, Naruto. The clan leaders agreed that it would be simpler if all the Konoha 12 were told the truth about her. Seeing how close you all are already. In addition to that, most of the Jonin in the village will be told. The vast majority of them already know about the incident with Lord Third. Tayuya might not be immediately recognized, but it would only be a matter of time." He turned his head to look at Tayuya. "On another note, Lady Tsunade wants to see you later this week once you're adjusted here. You're rather lucky. The Hokage trusts Naruto enough that she rejected Danzo's proposal to put a chakra seal on you." Tayuya glanced at Naruto, though she offered no thanks. Naruto asked, "Anything else? Like a cover story for the people we don't tell about her?" Kakashi said, "Nope, not yet. You'll have to wait on that. Skikaku's working on it, thought, so you probably won't have to wait too long. Anyway, Sakura will be stopping by with some measuring tools since Tayuya here can't just go out and buy ones that fit. Try not to get injured, Naruto." With that, the Jonin vanished, leaving his disgruntled student to fend for himself. Naruto sighed loudly and let himself drop limply into his bed. Tayuya raised her eyebrow. She was curious about who this Sakura was. Some girl that Naruto didn't get along with? She didn't know, but if there was a chance she could take advantage of the situation, she would. The only question was, could she get answers out of Naruto without him figuring out what her game was? "So Naruto, who is this Sakura?" he grumbled. "A girl with pink hair from my own squad. She's obsessive over Sasuke and probably is going to try to kill you, me, or both of us." Naruto rolled over to look at her, seeing how you were partly responsible for Sasuke escaping. "She won't take kindly to that. I just hope they explain things to her before she shows up and sees you. Otherwise I'll be stuck as her punching bag while I try to talk her down." Tayuya smirked. "You let some girl wail on you like that? Aren't you a Jinchuriki?" I think you could handle your own team. It crossed her mind that Naruto was the kind of boy who would let a girl beat on him. The whole nice guy routine had disadvantages too. Naruto grimaced. Yeah, but she's a lot like you. Loud-mouthed and easy to set off, she growled. Watch it, kid. Kid? Is that the best insult you could come up with? Surely you can do better, Tayuya. Leaping at Naruto, she brought her fist in line to plow through his head. Naruto didn't move like she expected him to. His brought up one hand and caught her wrist easily. His blue eyes burned into her for a moment before he let her go. Sorry, but Sakura-chan is an expert in chakra manipulation, and she can barely scratch me half the time. Without enhancing your strength, you won't be able to touch me. My body is naturally more durable and stronger than yours. As you said, I'm a Jinchuriki and an Uzumaki. And I don't really like getting hit, so don't try it. He shifted and looked up at the ceiling. You're still treating me like an enemy. But I'll keep trying to be friends with you as long as you don't hurt any of my friends. You're safe as long as we get along. Tayuya crossed her arms. I'm not interested in being your friend. I chose this route because it was the best course. That doesn't mean I have to like it or you for that matter. Naruto closed his eyes slowly. Yeah? Well, it wasn't your choice. It was mine. I was just being nice when I asked how you felt. If you're not my friend, then you'll never be friends with anyone else. And if you have no friends and you're trapped in a house all the time, it's no better than prison, is it? You might be clever, but Orochimaru never taught you how to accept things, did he? That's part of your curse mark too. When you get angry, you can draw out the curse's power to increase your strength. He let a smirk cross his face. What is the point of living if you aren't happy? She stepped back from him. So you really have no plan to take advantage of me as soon as I let my guard down? Tayuya already knew he wasn't that kind of person. Even if he was a pervert, it was easy enough to figure out he wasn't that kind of pervert. What bothered her is what else he could have planned for her. Naruto said, I might be a deep thinker sometimes, but I'm not a schemer like some people. If I wanted to take advantage of you, I would. Oh, and by the way, just so you know. What? She started as a wave of foreboding washed over her. Naruto's body language seemed to change in an instant. He sat up and looked at her. Tayuya was taken aback by his eyes. The warm blue was gone, turned cold. His gaze was predatory and reptilian. If you want me to be the bad guy, I can totally play that role. It's not hard. Tayuya shivered violently and turned around. For a moment he looked just like Orochimaru. That gaze that saw only what it wanted and desired power. Naruto's warmth had flooded out of him, leaving hate. Why do I feel so weak right now? He just looked at me, Tayuya. She hesitantly cast her eyes towards him. Why yes, do you want to live with nice Naruto or not nice Naruto? Your choice, Tayuya. But you need to know. I'm not going to switch back and forth once you decide. He laid back down. You don't have to choose now. I'll give you a chance to think it over. Tayuya could hear that his voice had changed. It was deeper, but lacking in emotion. It was cold, like his eyes. Eyes that might have matched the demon inside him. Another shiver, chill as a mountain peak in midwinter, rushed up her spine. She shuddered and rubbed at her skin. Goosebumps had broken out all over. I remember this. It's just like when Orochimaru would get pissed at us. Oh fuck, this is way worse. Is this how he is all the time and just hiding it? Shit. It was almost like the temperature had dropped, making her skin crawl. Her damn hair felt as though it was freezing to her scalp and the back of her neck. She hurried to her bed and sat down. Her eyes darted to where Naruto was lying with his eyes closed. He seemed so calm still, but his presence, it was like a panther crouching, waiting for the moment she showed any weakness. She knew she was showing just that. I can't breathe. Tayuya clutched at her chest, trying to force air through her frozen lungs. Naruto lay still, allowing himself to fall into a deep trance. He heard the Kyuubi speaking to him as if from a great distance. Naruto, you're going to knock her unconscious if you keep this up. And so? Kurama recoiled at the hate frozen in Naruto's answer. This was not like Naruto at all. This side to the blonde boy whose mind he called home. This part of him was dangerous. She is not strong, Naruto. You could kill her eventually. Tone down the killing intent before she has a heart attack. Why? The fox felt his fur stand on end. Fear, an uncommon emotion to him, bit into his essence. Kurama hoped that he would never see this side on his container again. His voice rumbled with urgency. Stop, Naruto, you are starting to cause her pain. You didn't answer my question. Why should I stop? She wanted to see the real me. This isn't the real you, so says the one who would take over my mind and rip the village apart. Just stop, make me Kurama. The demon stilled. There it was for the second time. Naruto had used a name that had not been given to him. You will not forgive yourself for it later. Fine, weakling girl. And she's one of the last Uzumaki. I guess it would be a waste. Tayuya gasped in relief as the killing pressure left her in a rush. She felt stiff and sore, and an ache had settled behind her eyes. She forced herself to sit up. Naruto was looking at her out of the corner of his eye. They remained cold, but the crushing hand around her heart had vanished. What was that? Naruto looked bored. It was too easy to do. You're an Uzumaki. I expected you to be stronger. But I expected too much. She paled. That was a test? He smiled and she had to look away from him. It was like the Shinigami's smile. Naruto said bluntly, I did it because I wanted to. Though it was a test of sorts. Tayuya glanced at him and thankfully his smile was gone. What were you testing? Naruto slipped out of bed and walked towards her. The temperature seemed to plummet as he closed the distance between them. He looked down at her. There are only 2 reasons for the clans to have you marry me. The first is to keep you out of Danzo's hands. The second is to get you pregnant with Uzumaki children. And really that's the main one. They might have morals, but when it comes down to it, you're only a womb on legs to the village. You see, the original Uzumaki clan didn't even live in the land of fire. They existed in their own small nation between this country and the land of water. So the clan heads really were excited to have the opportunity to reinstall the clan inside the village. So as soon as Sasuke Uchiha is brought back, they'll have 3 legendary clans in a single village. Sounds tempting, doesn't it? He pushed forward till his face was inches from her. His breath hissed out, and his pupils seemed to expand. I want to know, are you worth my time? His hand shot out fast as a striking serpent. His fingers curled around her arm. His voice purred out, I could take you now and not have to worry about it. I'm sure Danzo won't turn his nose up at one kid. And Tsunade will be a perfect grandmother to it. Naruto leaned into her, one hand scratching up her side, eliciting a gasp as his fingers grew claws which raked her skin through her clothes. He asked, well? Are you a worthy mate? Or should I find a girl with a better constitution? I might even find someone who didn't have such a foul mouth. His calculating gaze took in her own. Fact is, you might be one of the last Uzumaki alive. There's a good possibility that you're the last female. So that gives you a bit of worth. The Uzumaki clan's ability to master Fuinjutsu was legendary even among the Senju, and they were the ones who made it a viable ninja art. Our children could probably surpass the 4th Hokage in talent. He smirked and brought his face close to her own. Well, nothing to say. Tayuya yanked free and leapt off the bed. Naruto's lips twisted into a feral grin. She backed away till her back was against the door. Naruto shrugged and returned to his bed. The terrified girl kept her back against the door until her heart slowed enough to breathe properly. She vowed not to ask another question until Naruto went back to normal. If he does, the door to Tsunade's office slammed shut. The Hokage looked up at her student as she slid down the wooden surface to rest on the floor. Pink hair in disarray with a bag under her arm, Sakura looked like she had just stumbled out of a horror movie. Alarmed, Tsunade stood and quickly moved to her side. Sakura's breath was erratic and her fair skin had gone a deathly white. Sakura! What happened? Her apprentice looked up at her. Sakura's green eyes were wide with fear. Something is wrong with Naruto. Tsunade took Sakura's words at face value and helped her to her feet. The girl was unsteady, but Tsunade supported her to a seat by hers. When Sakura was installed, the Hokage called for Shizen. The assistant came in a moment later. Hi Hokage-sama, Shizen. Get Inoichi now. Inoichi Yamanaka placed his hands gently on either side of Sakura's head. The girl was still unable to form coherent sentences. She mumbled to herself as Tsunade looked on. He glanced back at her. This will take a moment, but I can use my jutsu to allow us to see what she saw. I will have to go through the entire memory before I can activate it though. Fine, do it. Inoichi nodded and pushed his thoughts into Sakura's mind. It was unnervingly easy, but then again, she had no defenses up. She was traumatized. He wondered what could have happened to do this as he accessed her most recent memories. Something thoroughly unpleasant. They came to him easily. He immersed himself as he replayed the memory. Sakura opened the door to Naruto's apartment. Immediately she saw the red head on a bed against the far wall. She was curled up with her eyes focused on Naruto. The blonde was lying in his own bed, looking up at the ceiling, obviously bored. He twirled a funny-looking kunai on his fingertip. Sakura walked into the room already chastising him. Naruto baka. What the hell have you gone and done now? Lady Tsunade told me you agreed to an arranged marriage or something. Is that true? Naruto's voice was lazy and bored as he said as if to himself, and in walks the original loudmouth. All hail the Banshee and future queen of Emo. Sakura I ticked. What did you just say, Naruto? Answer me already. Why in the name of the first Hokage would you do that? And with her of all people? Don't you know who she is? She's one of the Sound Five. You know, one of the group who kidnapped Sasuke-kun. There was silence as she stopped speaking. Naruto took a moment to stop his spinning kunai. Then he threw it at the wall to stick in the wood. He sighed. Take your measurements already. I won't peek. Her knuckles cracked at his calm attitude. Naruto. I am so going to kick your ass if you don't get out of bed and answer me. Her breath caught as Naruto materialized in front of her, one hand catching her in the center of the chest. The impact sent her into the wall behind her, but didn't hurt. She growled, Naruto baka. Her fist swung at his head, glowing blue with chakra. Naruto caught her fist on his palm and pressed against her, molding himself to her. His other hand trapped her arm to the wall. He stared at her coldly. I don't feel like answering that stupid question. And I'm getting tired of the noise. His eyes shifted to where he had stopped her punch. You getting weak, Sakura? Or were you pulling you punch? She struggled, Let go, you idiot. Naruto's face twitched and Sakura went cold. It felt like her strength had completely deserted her. The sudden pressure made it difficult to draw breath. Naruto pushed his face past hers to whisper in her ear, "Why should I care about anything you say? Even that pathetic Uchiha recognized how useless you are. I promised to bring him back to you, but it was a childish vow. Don't think, Sakura, that I am the same loser that lets you punch on him. I'm not the orange strip fool you seem to like calling names so much. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, not your crutch to take out your little girl fears on," he growled deep in his throat as she almost went limp. "Don't stop struggling, Sakura. It's no fun if you give up. You did want to play, didn't you?" His tone had turned from menacing to playful in a predatory sort of way. She turned her head to the side as pain carved through her hand and wrist. Claws were poking from his fingers, cutting furrows across her skin. Naruto pulled back slightly. "Come on, Sakura, you were always trying to get to Sasuke, but what do you think he was into? Romance and puppy love? No. He was more the handcuffs and bedpost kind of guy," he grinned. "Although I admit I never figured out which side of the equation he preferred." Naruto looked thoughtful for a moment before he chuckled. "But you're more of the sweet girl, not the S&M kind. You just want your tender moments with the dark bad boys so you can feel special." His hot breath blew across her neck and down her shirt. Sakura whimpered and tried to pull free again, putting as much strength as she could into it. But no matter how much chakra she forced into her arms and legs, his grip didn't so much as loosen. Naruto held her until she felt she was about to drop, then he let her go. Sakura stumbled to the door, flinging it open before she caught her balance, and dashed away as fast as she could go. Inoichi pulled out of her mind with a shout, falling on his ass as he did so. Tsunade demanded, "Inoichi, what is it?" He wiped sweat from his brow. "Something is defiantly wrong with that boy. And not in the goofy way everyone loves. He was terrifying in that memory. I've never seen or heard of him acting like that. It seemed completely at odds with his normal personality. And he was using that chakra. I could feel it even though her mind." Tsunade paled herself. "Inoichi, I thank you for your help, but right now I need you to come with me to Naruto's apartment." "Shizen. Have A and BU on standby." Her assistant nodded and rushed out of the room, quickly followed by the Hokage and Inoichi. Naruto closed the door to his room and looked back at Tayuya. "Did you like that?" She shook her head. "No." He smiled. "Have you decided whether you want me or nice Naruto?" "Honestly, I enjoy having the chance to play around a bit. I was hoping Sakura would give in, though it's a shame that my other side would be furious if I actually did anything to her." Tayuya gulped once before saying quietly, "I want the other one back. And I don't want to see you again." "Ah, Tayuya-chan, you wound me so. Is it that you dislike me that much?" She turned away. "Yes. Go away and bring the idiot back. I like him better." "You're insane." Naruto moved towards her, quickly moving atop her. "But he can't touch you like I can. We're different, he and he. I know things. He's too ignorant or noble to notice or act sometimes. You are my wife in a sense. Don't you want to have the strong, cunning one as your mate?" Tayuya felt a claw trace down the side of her face, a razor-sharp caress. No, I don't fucking care. I choose the other one." Naruto smirked. "That was an odd way of answering me. First you say you don't care. And then you tell me that you would prefer the other me." She brought her hand around to smack him. "Get off me. And leave me alone. Give back the nice Naruto, demon." He pulled back and stepped off the bed. "Very well, Tayuya Uzumaki. If that's your choice." Tayuya watched as Naruto tilted his head and smiled again. He pushed him close once more. His face was an inch from hers. He purred, "However, if you want me to leave right now, then you'll have to pay for it. How about a kiss for your mate?" "Fuck you. Leave." Tayuya bristled as his expression changed to a pout. "Ah, Tayuya, not even a lick? Or a peck on the cheek?" She hissed. "Fine." Naruto turned his head slightly, inviting her to do it. She grimaced and moved to press her lips to his cheek. His head turned at the last second and their lips touched. Tayuya's eyes flashed open wide as claws raked her once under her breasts, and Naruto pushed forward, deepening the kiss. His powerful muscles levered her down till she was lying flat under him. Butterflies exploded in her stomach even as she grabbed handfuls of his jacket and pushed. It didn't work for a moment. Her chakra surged through her arms and she forced herself back further, breaking the kiss as her cheeks flushed red. Naruto's fox-like smile vanished. It was replaced instantly by confusion and surprise, and his cheeks went red. Across the room from them the door opened with a bang and Tsunade strode in, followed by Inoichi. Both of them stopped dead. Tsunade's eyes registered that Tayuya was under Naruto, her hands grasping at his chest while Naruto was on top of her. One arm by her head and the other on her belly. Both of their faces were bright red. Tsunade felt acute shock as Naruto's blue eyes flicked to Inoichi, then to hers, then to Tayuya's and back. Naruto looked down at Tayuya. She was under him and he was holding her down. Her soft skin rubbed against his as he attempted to piece together what the hell happened. He wasn't in his bed. He was in hers. She was right there, and they were molded together, sensuously. Her face was flushed a deep crimson and her lips were slightly parted. The moment froze in his mind. His thoughts backtracked to the last thing he remembered. The soft satin of her red lips on his head she kissed him, or the other way around? Naruto blinked as a massive migraine loomed just over the proverbial horizon. He realized that they were so close he could smell her distinct scent past the strong aroma of shampoo and conditioner. His heart beat loud in his ears and he stopped trying to piece the last however long it had been out together. Tsunade opened her mouth to shout and Naruto decided for a tactical retreat. He pulled back in one fluid movement and made 20 clones. They poofed into existence, filling the room with white smoke. He used the diversion to jump off Tayuya and hide his chakra signature as best he could. Then he blasted out of the window over his bed, followed by a mass of clones. Immediately he was swarmed by A and BU. He ducked and weaved, dodging paralysis jutsu and quite a few disabling nets. His feet touched the street and he was off like an Olympic sprinter, with chakra mind you. He quickly separated from his clones as they dashed off in all directions. He knew Konoha better than the A and BU. Every niche and cubby was his own hiding place, a place where he might be able to figure out what the hell had happened. Tsunade ran to the window the moment the smoke cleared. Damn! He got away already. That boy is going to kill me one day with these stunts. Can't he stay put for one damned second? She spun to see Tayuya sitting up slowly. Her cheeks were still dark with her blush, but she seemed alright. Better than Sakura for sure. Tsunade walked over to her and asked harshly, what happened? Tell me now. Tayuya looked up at her, he not him. But the other one he kissed me. She seemed to be in shock, which she probably also was. She touched her lips with one finger, smoothing over them. Annoyed she stepped forward. What do you mean by the other one? Tayuya shook her head. Naruto, his other self. Tsunade asked, are you talking about the Kyuubi? Was Naruto possessed? And why in Kami's name was he doing that? She shook her head, not the demon. It was Naruto, but she didn't know what he had been. A dormant personality of Naruto's or even the real Naruto that he kept locked away under a perfect mask. Maybe it was the demon. Her mind was too mixed up to know. He kissed me. Like that. Why do I feel like I want like it wanted? Tayuya felt the onset of a headache as her brain replayed the moment that he pushed forward. The chill in her bones turning to heat as he OW. Fuck. She put her hands to her head as pain blossomed behind her eyes. It drove a freight train though her thoughts as Inoichi bent down next to her. He said, listen Tayuya, I can help block off the memories if it will help, but I have to go through them first. We need to know what happened to Naruto. We only saw a little bit through Sakura. He placed a hand on top of her and focused his chakra. This would likely hurt a little, but it was much more direct and he could look for the specific memory he needed. Inoichi fell inside her thoughts, quickly becoming caught up in the one that was causing so much turmoil inside her. He saw from Tayuya's eyes as she kissed him. Geez, that was her? What was that? Get out of my head! Inoichi gasped as excruciating pain slammed him from her mind. He walled himself off from her mental shout before it could turn his own thoughts to mush. Holy crap, that was close, she almost fried me. She's much stronger than I thought. Standing, he shook his head to clear it. Then he glanced at Tsunade. I won't be able to get anything else out of her without stringent preparation. If I guess right from what I saw in Sakura's memories and just now, the flash I received from her before she tossed me out, I would guess that Naruto has a dual personality that was somehow brought to the surface. Tsunade grimaced. This is the first time I've heard of it. Naruto might have been weird, but he never showed signs of being bipolar, much less having a complete personality shift. Although this could be something that developed during his training trip with Jiraiya. But I would be amazed if Jiraiya didn't notice it. Inoichi looked down at Tayuya as she cradled her head her hands. She is going to need some time to recover, I think. What do we do until then? We leave her here for now. Post a few A and BU around to make sure she doesn't leave. Naruto should come back when he's ready. No point searching for him now. It would be like trying to find a needle in a haystack. Honestly, I think we should play it by ear. She sighed. This had been a headache from beginning to end. This girl is unstable. Naruto is unstable and Danzo is just waiting for his chance to get a hold on either of them. If she didn't already have a good guess as to what Danzo wanted, she would have suspected that he had done something to Naruto to cause this. But as it was, it didn't match with his goals. Tsunade spoke to Tayuya. Stay here. If you need something, there will be A and BU outside. The girl didn't answer. She had closed her eyes to slits, trying to block out the pain. Tsunade sighed and gathered a flicker of chakra to her fingertips. Then she placed them lightly on the back of her neck. Tayuya went rigid, then relaxed back with a groan. Inoichi asked, will that help? Don't know. Having someone manipulate your thoughts can be excruciating. I'm not at all well versed in the arts of mental healing, and even you're more focused towards interrogation. I can only wonder what she went through for the last 2 years between Sasuke's disappearance and now. And then before that, serving under Orochimaru. This is why I requested that she come to me once she settled in. So that she could have some time to adapt before we plied her brain for info on him. He raised his eyebrow. And what about Naruto? Tsunade turned to leave. If there was a top 10 of most unpredictable ninja, he'd beat the next 5 on the list combined. He'll show when he's ready. Inoichi grumbled, I know who his parents were and I know he trained with the Toad Sage, but considering what I saw in Sakura's mind, you have a shocking amount of faith in that boy. She smiled thinly. I do, now let's go. Naruto's not going to come back while we're here. Naruto returned a few hours later to find Tayuya asleep. She had curled up into a ball on top of the covers. He closed the drapes on the window as he stood over her. I don't know what to think or what to do. I'm sure she kissed me and I'm sure that I pushed back, but I can't remember how it came to that to save my life. And I can't get it out of my head. Kyuubi won't talk to me about it either. He scratched his chin, still just as confused as he had been when he hightailed it from the Hokage. It was frustrating. Like a mental itch that he just couldn't reach. Tayuya had said something to him, and then there was a big blank space, and then the kiss. I can't stop thinking about it, it's going to drive me crazy. Naruto didn't know what else to do, so he moved to his own bed. And there he lay for hours more, unable to fall asleep or banish the strange feeling in his chest. Naruto blinked awake the next morning. A second later his alarm blared out his brazen war cry. Naruto smashed it before so much as half a tone escaped it. The jarring sound of it crunching removed the last vestiges of sleep from him. That's the fourth damn alarm clock I've smashed by reflex since I came back from training with Pervy Sage. One more thing I have to worry about, I guess. An annoyed voice spoke from the other side of the room. Took you long enough to wake up, lazy ass. He pushed himself to his elbows. Tayuya was sitting on her bed, her red hair splayed out around her. The eyes, which looked haggard, glared out at him. Despite the look she was giving him, which reminded him of an annoyed tiger, a part of his mind admired her beauty in the face of sleep deprivation. It was obvious that she hadn't received a full night of sleep. The circles under her eyes from the day before remained and had grown a shade darker. Naruto coughed lightly, clearing his throat. Morning, Tayuya-chan. Don't call me that shithead. He blinked and yawned loudly. He stretched and slipped his feet off the bedside. Well, that's no way to be talking to your darling husband this early in the morning. She scowled. Don't mention that, idiot. Naruto gave her a pout. Okay then, what would you like me to call you then? Is your regular name just fine, Tayuya? Not if you say it like that, he groaned. Oh well, pardon me for trying to mix it up. Do you prefer Mrs. Uzumaki? The glare she shot him would have melted steel. I didn't think so. Now I think I said something about me not being your enemy. I really don't care about the foul language as long as it isn't being substituted for my name. She turned her head away from him and let out a sound that clearly expressed her lack of agreement on that topic. Naruto got out of bed and moved across the room. He changed clothes quickly, half expecting her to get pissed at him. But thankfully she seemed to be less enamored of modesty when she wasn't fresh out of the shower. Tayuya glanced back at him, her expression becoming more curious than angry. What are you up to? He said. I have training to do. And I'm not a support fighter. My abilities are tuned towards medium/close range combat with highly destructive jutsu. Therefore I need a large training field to get anything done. And you're just going to leave me here unattended? He rolled his eyes. You think that I'm really stupid, don't you? You guessed it, moron. Naruto glared at her in return and brought his hands together. There was a puff of smoke and a second Naruto appeared. The original gave her a cheery wave before disappearing out the door. Tayuya turned to the clone. He was well a clone in every sense of the word. She felt annoyance building as the clone simply sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes. Tayuya slipped off the bed and moved to sit in front of the clone. She demanded, what orders did he give you? The clone opened one blue eye humorously. Boss said you would try interrogating me. Oh well, I guess it won't hurt. I'm supposed to keep an eye on you, of course. If you kill me, then boss will know something's up and come running. If you try to escape, I am to prevent you from doing so to the best of my abilities. Other than that, he gave me enough chakra to make an additional clone for you to use as you wish. She narrowed her eyes. Is that true, or did he instruct you to make fun of me too? The clone shrugged. If you don't believe a humble clone like myself, well, that's not my problem. But boss doesn't want you shouting at him because you wanted something all day while he was out training. Tayuya smacked the clone upside the head. It didn't disperse. I knew it. You just sent off a clone so you could see how I'd react to being left alone. The clone smiled. Sorry, Tayuya, but you are mistaken. Apparently you don't know much about shadow clones. You see, our durability is determined by the amount of chakra we are given, just as the jutsu we use are restricted. If boss puts almost half his full chakra reserves into a clone like me, I can be very durable. You could wail on me for a few minutes before I dispersed. She crooked an eyebrow. Why so much chakra? The clone's grin became feral. Boss has nearly 17 times as much chakra as you, and that is without the QB. Even with half his chakra, I could overpower you. Tayuya's jaw dropped. Overpowered by a clone. The blonde copy of Naruto inserted a finger in his ear and twisted it as if to say, could you be any louder? She growled. I would never be beaten by a fucking clone of some orange retard. I can't believe a stupid clone is mouthing off to me anyway. Tayuya grabbed him by the front of his mostly black jacket and attempted to haul him off his feet. Unfortunately, he was much taller than her, and she only succeeded in dragging him to his feet, where he looked down at her amused. You seem angry, Tayuya. Was it something I said? She roared. Of course it wasn't just that. It's that insolent smile you keep flashing. It's you fucking laughing at me like this. And it's this stupid situation. I should have let myself starve in the forest rather than get involved with you. The clone apparently found this highly amusing as well. She heard him start to chuckle and stepped back, letting go of his jacket. Tayuya. I don't get why you're so pissed. Boss is trying to be nice. It's not easy for him. He has no experience with girls in this situation. She cursed him loudly, switching into an entirely different language for some of it. When she finished venting a little of her wrath, she demanded, Why are you so composed then? You must be a defective clone or something. You don't act just like him. He tilted his head, still grinning, and once again your knowledge of shadow clones seems lacking. It's well known that shadow clones can easily develop personalities opposed to their creator after being given certain directions. She stopped. What do you mean by certain directions? He said. For instance, I was also directed to keep you company unless you said you wanted to be left alone or something along those lines. I'm adapting to try and figure out how to complete my directive properly. The clone raised his eyebrow, while dropping the grin. The shadow clone jutsu was invented a long time ago, and is the root of all clone jutsu. The elemental release versions are all easier to use, requiring much less chakra, but they are much more limited in their use. A fire-style clone will only ever be an exact copy or the original, with no ability to learn or adapt. I could master a new jutsu and then pass on the knowledge to boss. Tayuya blinked. You seem to know an awful lot for a stupid clone. I'll take that as a compliment. She moved back to the bed and sat on the edge. Fine then. If you've been ordered to keep me company, then you can start telling me about Naruto. I'm not going to get stuck listening to his life story from him. The clone smiled again. You're kinda weird, you know that, right? Just get on with it, clone. He sat down again. Okay, to start out with, boss doesn't know who his father is and only recently knew who his mother was. He is an orphan. He doesn't clearly remember much before he was 5. He lived in this village his entire life, enrolling in the academy at age. Tayuya groaned. I didn't want a boring historical account of every damn event. I was asking about how he thought, what he thinks about. I know the big events in his life. The clone scratched his chin. I'm not sure boss would like me telling you about his inner thoughts and feelings. Tough. Tell me anyway. He looked extremely uncomfortable. Maybe another question. She swore, damn it. And I thought you'd be useful. Fine. Tell me what Naruto thinks of me and no lies. He's already told you that. Tayuya cracked her knuckles. Details, clone, or else I'll test how many hits you're good for. The clone cringed. Yeah, okay, boss is extremely confused about you. He think of you as family because of your Uzumaki blood and wants to help you, but he also feels that he can't trust you because of how you were trained by Orochimaru. He wants to like you, but you're constantly making it clear you want to stay as enemies. Anything else? She asked it while eyeing the clone dangerously. She wasn't sure how far she could take the threat. A clone was a clone after all. He might not have any order to fight back if she attacked him, but he would be aware of that too. He muttered, boss would kill me for this, fine, but only if you ask politely. She gritted her teeth. Tell me please. The clone sighed. Boss doesn't remember much of what happened yesterday, but he remembers the kiss. He liked it. Why? She gaped like a fish for a moment. Are you fucking serious? He doesn't remember any of that. Nope. Tayuya felt like hitting the clone. But that won't do any good. And why the hell is this clone so informative? I've seen clones before. None of them were like this. But I guess it goes with what he said. Orochimaru told me once that the shadow clone jutsu is part of the hidden scroll of the village. So it makes sense that most of the clone jutsu I've seen were of a different type. She frowned. And what the hell does he mean that Naruto liked it? Grr, I can't ask him about it. Naruto will know everything that me and his copy talked about, so I can't afford to ask that. Shit. I wish this wasn't so damn tedious. What the fuck did I do to get my life so fucked up? A few minutes passed and the clone asked, is there anything you want or need that I can get? Naruto did tell me to do what you wanted to a certain extent. Tayuya sighed. Anything? Well, not anything. But within reason. She thought for a moment then said, get me a good flute from one of the shops in the village, something with at least 8 holes. There was no movement of the clone going to perform this task. Instead he asked, do I look stupid? I'm not supposed to do anything to aid in your escape. Buying you something that you can make use of as an effective weapon isn't on my list of things I'm allowed to fetch. She snapped. A simple flute, not a chakra-laced metal combat flute. Do you think I could weave my demon song with a normal flute? Orochimaru had my old one custom made for me. It would take a month to recreate one to match. The most I could do with a civilian flute would be charm animals or weak-minded people. Real genjutsu is beyond that. The clone shrugged. Okay, I won't be the one in trouble if you're deceiving me. He made another clone and left by the window. She watched the new clone. It didn't move. She figured that this one had been ordered to keep her inside the room without fail and without doing anything to the contrary. She sighed in an aggravated way and collapsed backwards. If he gets a halfway decent flute, at least I'll be able to play myself some music. Won't be too bad. But I wish I had my old flute that Kimimaro gave me. Years ago, when she was only 10 years old, Kimimaro had taken her aside from the general group of prisoners. He'd found her entrancing an entire group of her fellow inmates with her tune. She wasn't trying to hurt them or anything, but she had a special gift for the instrument. He'd showed her his ability to manipulate his bone by crafting her a long flute of his hardest bone. It played an eerie and haunting melody. She'd kept it for all those years, even into her time as a member of the Sound Five. And then later when Kimimaro had fallen ill she'd stopped playing on it. But now she wished to have it with her. The bone, worn smooth by countless hours playing. She remembered the time Orochimaru had been looking for her one day after he'd first recruited her, and found himself caught by her melody. Not a song meant for combat, but one that expressed herself. It was the only time she'd seen him with a genuine smile. Or at least a genuine smile that wasn't derived from his gruesome experiments. I wonder what Naruto would think of that song. Would he like it too? A moment passed and she jerked up, pulling the muscle in her lower back. OUCH. Shit! Why am I thinking like that again? She massaged her back as pain bit deeply, making her grit her teeth in anger. I swear, that ass causes me more pain than my fucking legs did. Tayuya left the bed and moved to the window, looking out at the village. It looked peaceful. There were a few civilians walking along at this hour, but most seemed to be shinobi. Some even looked to be walking hand in hand. This annoyed her for some reason she couldn't quite pinpoint. Even as she watched the street, she saw someone she recognized. A young man with wild dark hair. He wore a dark brown jacket that was almost black. The red tattoos on his cheek marked him as a member of the Inuzuka clan. Tayuya saw him stoop down to pat an immense white dog by his side. She sneered. He was a pig. Like Naruto, he was foolish and idealistic, but he was easily twice as arrogant as the blonde Jinchuriki. He'd shown that during the time they waited for Naruto to show up for the clan meet. As she watched, there was a popping sound from behind her. She turned in time to see the original clone, or what she assumed was the original clone. He had a long dull red flute in one hand. Tayuya asked, "How'd you get back so fast?" Shrugging, the clone tossed the flute to her. She caught it deftly. It was slightly shorter than her battle flute and had 2 less holes, but it seemed well made. Though she didn't recognize the material. She asked, "What is it made out of?" He scratched his head. The vendor said it was made out of something called ironwood. An import from the land of stone. It was the only one that looked good. She nodded fractionally. He's right. It's well made if this is ironwood. He obviously doesn't know about the properties of ironwood. This would be a perfect combat flute if it had 2 more holes. Unfortunately, I can't work any genjutsu with this unless they're very simple. But I can summon and control my demons with this. You seem happy with it. Tayuya looked up. Why would I be happy with it? You haven't cursed me out for buying a lame flute. She shifted, uneasy. He's getting better at reading me. I'm not used to living with someone I need to be secretive around. I hate him, and especially this stupid clone. The clone in question smiled politely. Why do I get the feeling that you're silently plotting the boss's demise? Tayuya's eye twitched. Way too good at reading me, stupid clone. He asked, so, are you going to play me a tune, Tayuya? She growled. Why would I? Well, we aren't going to be separated from each other for a while, so unless you intend on waiting for the exact opportunity when you can play alone, I'd suggest getting what enjoyment out of it that you can. I'm not going anywhere, Tayuya thought. Bastard copy has a point. I asked for a flute so I could enjoy playing. But I can't insist on doing it alone. Humph. I'm not playing personal music for him. Let's see how much he shivers if I play the lesser demon dance. She put her lips to the flute and started to gather her breath. Temari sighed as Shikamaru was forced to stop again. He sneezed explosively and took a step back to steady himself. She asked, what number is that? 20? Either someone is talking some serious shit about you or you need to take some medication. It would be bad if we got ambushed with you in this state. She meant it as a joke, but he didn't smile. He wiped his nose, annoyed. It's troublesome, but I did inhale a ton of pepper when I was making breakfast this morning. Oh, that's what it is. Well, that explains it. His face twitched, but not from allergies. They both heard a sharp, clear note echo down the streets and over the building. 7 more piercing notes rang out in rising volume. Temari glanced down the street. She said, looks like someone is about to start playing. Is that a flute? Shikamaru unfroze and stuffed his hands in his pockets as the sound stopped. He moved to continue down the street when the notes started up again. The melody started out low and rose till it was shrill, then it descended into a complex series of notes. Temari shivered. Damn, that sounds eerie. Shikamaru was frozen again. I know that tune, I've heard it somewhere. He racked his brain for an answer, then it came to him. Fuck no. Temari was startled as Shikamaru leapt to the nearest roof, scanning for the source of the music. The haunting song drove daggers of apprehension up his spine and caused the hairs on the back of his neck to go rigid. That girl 2 years ago during the mission to rescue Sasuke. The one with the red hair and the flute. She came so close to killing me, it was scary. Where is that music coming from? Below him in the street, Temari asked, Shikakuin. What's up with you? You're supposed to be escorting me to the embassy. He shouted down to her. Temari, get up here. That's the exact same song that the Sound 5 Kunoichi used to get the best of me 2 years ago. Her expression changed then. What? Shikamaru scanned the rooftops, searching for the telltale trace of red. He found it a moment later. What in Kami's name is going on? That's Naruto's apartment. Naruto's clone had closed his eyes, listening to the song that filled his room. Tayuya seemed flustered that he wasn't negatively affected by the music, but the thing was, he liked it. Pity boss isn't here. He'd like this. He opened his eyes, keeping tabs on Tayuya's chakra. From what he could feel, she wasn't drawing any at the moment, but he wasn't a sensory type, so she could probably hide it from him if she wished. He blinked as he saw a blur by the window. That's oh shit. A black ink stain flooded the floor, reaching for Tayuya. His reaction was instant. Tayuya found herself on the bed behind her. He held fast in the tenuous grip of the tentacle-like shadows. He knew who it was immediately. Shikamaru! This isn't what it looks like. She isn't an enemy. Outside the window, Shikamaru looked somewhat less than convinced. He asked, then what is she doing here? She survived the battle with you and Temari-chan. She was living in the forest for 2 years, but gave it up and turned herself in. She's living here with the boss right now. Shikamaru tilted his head. I knew it. You're a clone as Shadow Clone, which means you're immune to this jutsu. He grinned pretty much. I let myself get caught for a moment. Anyway, she's not a threat, I promise. Your dad is actually supposed to tell you about the situation pretty soon. Shikamaru raised his eyebrow. And what is the situation? Tayuya growled and jumped off the bed. Hey twerp. I'd hoped you died from some horrible accident, but it looks like you're still annoying as shit. She said, it's none of your business until someone makes it your business. I'm still technically an A-class secret. The clone groaned. Could you somehow stop insulting everyone? I'm only a clone, you know. If you get the whole village trying to stone you, I can't stop them. Temari landed next to Shikamaru with a small breeze blowing about her. Temari's eyes locked on Tayuya's. It is you. I thought I killed you. Tayuya spat. No. What you did was seriously fuck up my legs. So much that I had to crawl around for 2 years. Sand village bitch. The blonde kunoichi mouthed silently. Wow. Then she looked at Shikamaru. It doesn't look like she changed at all. Still as foul-mouthed as the day I almost killed her. Honestly, I thought a few hundred tons of wood would do the trick. Naruto's clone really wanted to tell Temari not to antagonize Tayuya, but figured it would do any of them any good. After all, the Suna Kunoichi had quite the temper of her own sometimes. Tayuya was about to go ballistic when she felt a hand on her shoulder, followed by a loud popping sound. Naruto's voice said, Okay, can we not do this right now? Shikamaru, Temari-chan, would you mind not setting her off? Shikamaru shrugged. If she's under control and not a danger, I'm fine with her. Temari mimicked him. Same for me. Naruto nodded and said, Tayuya, please stop insulting my friends. Now we need to talk. He turned to his 2 friends again. Would you mind, guys? Shikamaru gave the smallest of whispers, but Naruto caught it. What a drag. Somewhere in the land of lightning. Yo! Yuji to my girl, how you gonna hurl? My new jutsu gonna put you in a whirl, yeah. To anyone watching the bizarre scene unfold, it might have been hilarious. A huge man with dark skin and a white cloud village vest was sparring with a petite girl of about 20. She had long blonde hair and a braid behind her. It swung wildly as she dodged his lightning-fast attacks. Her limber body twisted as she bent over backwards. The tips of her fingers touched the ground behind her even as her feet left the ground. She cartwheeled away from her massive opponent. One thing was on her mind. Getting away from the dozens of crackling blue bolts of electricity which blasted from B's fingertips. Come on, Yujito. Just let me zap you. You know you need to feel my extreme power, yeah, she shouted as she came back on her feet and settled into a defensive stance. Yeah right, B. I'm not planning on letting you touch me with those fat little sausages you call fingers. Killer B stopped dead in his tracks. Why? Yujito watched as he whipped out a little black notebook and a pencil and started writing furiously. He muttered as he scribbled, sausages, huh? Never thought of using that in that kind of situation. Not sure if I can use that, but okay. She smirked and slowly drew out a kunai from her pouch. Sending lightning chakra through the hilt, she watched as B closed his book. He looked up and their eyes met. Well, as best as they could while he wore his dark shades. Quick as a flash, B threw his hands out, fingers extended. Blue light flashed at the tips, and she threw her kunai directly between them. Boom! B landed several feet away, skidding for a moment before he flipped to his feet. Yujito. What was that? Almost made me go splat, yo. Her smirk turned feral as she dashed at him, drawing on her chakra and sending it into the air directly in front of her. B's eyes widened as she ignited the space between them with blue fire. Yujito plunged through the flame and felt it latch onto her. Try this out for size, B. My new taijutsu style. These flames won't burn me, but you aren't so lucky. B realized this a second later as she lashed out at him. He twisted to the sides and her fist sailed past him, the blue flames licking at his flak jacket. The heat caused his eyebrows to raise in surprise. Whoa! Yujito-chan's getting serious with her jutsu. Where did she learn how to do that? She hasn't been training in secret again, has she? Ought to know Big Bro give her hell for keeping stuff from him. An annoyed voice from the back of his mind interrupted him with a sarcastic comment which he did his best to ignore. Hey, you back man. I was wondering how you can ignore your number one partner. You are tiresome, B. Need I remind you? I'm still recovering from your escapade with Yujito. Whoa man, You know I'm sorry about that business. No need to be cold about it. Find some way to stay out of trouble for a few weeks, and I'll get around to forgiving you eventually. Hey! That no fair. How am I supposed to bust out my mean rhymes in a fight if you're not shoving some power my way? You heard me. Behave yourself and I'll consider lending you chakra again. Such an uncool way of looking at things. B came out of his trance as his blades fended off Yujito through sheer muscle memory. He might be off in Bilan, but his body was an amazing multitasker. He smirked as his blonde friend tried to impale him with a flaming kunai. He ducked and rolled, incredibly flexible for his size. Yujito leapt over him, narrowly avoiding a sweep of his arm. He found his footing quickly as Yujito came down and whirled. They were about to start again when a familiar voice called out to them from the side of the training field. Hey! Lord Rakage wants to see you two ASAP. B and Yujito turned to see Darui standing at the edge of the circular plateau. His expression was a perfect mix of exasperation and boredom. He scratched the back of his head, giving them a raised eyebrow. And if I were you two, I'd get going. He ain't in a good mood. Yujito cringed but decided it would be best to follow the man's suggestion. Darui was usually spot on with anything he set his mind to. Okay, I'm going. See ya, man. Killer B's face met the floor with enough force left over to crack it. A split second later he was back on his feet, smiling broadly. Yo! Big bro, what you got for us? I'm dying for a mission if you know what I mean. The Rakage pinched the bridge of his nose. I don't have time for this, B. Right now I have a mission for the both of you. Under the circumstances I would never send either of you to do this, but several reasons have compelled me to do so. Yujito glanced at Darui, who stood, silent, behind the massive leader of Kumigature. Her eyes turned back to Lord A. What is this mission? He stood and turned around, looking out the great windows over his village. His voice boomed out in the office. I'm sending both of you along with a single team of our most accomplished genin to Konoha. Yujito. You will be acting as senior instructor to the group as they advance through the exams. B. You will do everything in your power to make contact with the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi. Both of them looked at each other dumbstruck. B decided to ask the obvious before Yujito could get in trouble for it. I'm not sure that's a good idea, big bro. We kinda snubbed Konoha last time they invited us to come. And last I heard we didn't get no invitation. Lord A said it just came. Listen. The Akatsuki are in the land of lightning. I have received several reports that the so-called zombie duo has been in the western valleys. They are coming here for you too. I don't have any doubt in that. And honestly, with what I've heard of them, I'm uncomfortable with having either of you here. B. You are blatantly disobedient, and you're likely to get yourself killed if they find you. But nothing. I have thought this out. Now you need to know that my opinion of the current Hokage has changed somewhat. I think I was mistaken about her processor's intentions. This new offer is simply a gesture of goodwill towards her fellow Kage. B scratched his chin. I see where you're going, bro. You want me to go in with Yujito for two reasons. First, you want us out of the village while the Akatsuki are here, and second, you want me to get buddy-buddy with the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. The older man shook his head. No, what I want is you to get a feel for him. See if he has any chance of mastering his power on his own. If he can, then I want you befriend him. If he can't, then the leaf has a weakness. A loose cannon Jinchuriki would be easy prey for you too. Yujito coughed. Why would we befriend him if he had a chance of mastering the Kyubi? Simple. I'm considering forming a solid alliance with the leaf again. I am not blind as the Tsuchikage. I can see past our differences to a common enemy. Each of the Akatsuki are near or above Kage level. There may be some as strong as myself. As it is, Konoha only lacks a trained Jinchuriki to be the dominant village. The village hidden in the stone has just barely recovered from their last war. Suna is weak as it always will be. Isolated and possessing the weakest of the Jinchuriki. Kiri is in shambles still. If we ally with Konoha, then we will be completely safe from the other villages until the Akatsuki can be properly dealt with. B asked, so you're worried about the Akatsuki that much? A nodded. Darui showed them. Darui stepped forward and opened a folder on A's desk. B and Yujito leaned in close to look. Yujito covered her mouth in horror. A said, that is a report on a small village to the far north. They were pacifists, but they are distant descendants of the first Rakage like me. They had a unique ability to manipulate the natural energy in the air around them by dispersing their own around them like a mist. I was good friends with the leader of the village. Darui coughed. As boss was saying, there were several high Jonin-level shinobi in that village. They were slain by a single man. As far as the one surviving witness knows, he didn't even use ninjutsu. B's jaw dropped. Damn. That messed up. Yujito blinked and pointed at the picture. What is that? Darui shrugged. We don't know. Some symbol made in blood. They were scattered all around the village in varying sizes. The point is, one man did this. Yujito, you wouldn't be able to accomplish the same unless you were in full-tailed beast state. And we know the Akatsuki has special methods for defeating release Biju. B asked. So are you actually thinking of making good with Konoha even after you tried to nab a couple dozen of their kids over the last 10 years? I growled. I don't want to hear it, B. Darui has the details for you. But B, yeah bro, if you try to twist the rules here, I'll make rapping an offense punishable by death. Understood. No more stupid shit. Yo! I got this. No need to be fussin'. 1 week later, Tayuya left Hokage Tower unescorted. At least she thought she wasn't being followed. She never could tell. The ANBU here were a sneaky bunch even by the standards of ANBU in other villages. Maybe IWA had more devious special ops nin, but there was no way to be sure, and it didn't really matter. She was supposedly free to go about the village now. She received odd stares from almost everyone as she walked down the street, heading for Naruto's apartment. After the incident with Shikamaru, she tried to stay there as much as she could until everyone had settled down. For a while she'd been a hot topic. And by hot she meant that there had been 3 attempts on her life. Gratitude, she didn't want to admit that she was possible of feeling this for Naruto, but after a member of the Hyuga clan had tried to cut her throat, well, she could safely say that she owed Naruto one. It was strange. When he'd saved her, she didn't even know he was there. All she saw was the Hyuga lunging for her, and suddenly there was an explosion of blue light, and everything in the room did a 360 as a blast of wind took the chunin out the other side of the wall, and then Naruto had left. He returned a few hours later to tell her that she had nothing to worry about from the Hyuga clan. She had been appalled that a member of his family had attempted to kill her, even if he was a branch clan member. She didn't know what happened to the young man until she asked Tsunade about 20 minutes ago. Apparently Naruto had refused to level any charges, saying being paralyzed from the neck down for a few years is more than enough punishment. Privately she agreed with him, but she wouldn't admit it. I wish I could talk to him, damn it. He comes in to eat, check on me, and to sleep sometimes. I mean, what the hell is he doing? I can't believe that anyone is so crazy about training that he skips 2 days of rest for it. He must have a fucking girlfriend or something. I bet that's it. It annoyed her that he would have a girl besides her. Even if it wasn't exactly a romantic relationship, she was his wife. And he hardly talked to her. Especially after the Nara boy stopped by. Actually, I'd be willing to bet that he isn't at the apartment. So he'll be at one of the training fields. What was the number he told me 2 days ago? 17? 7? Whatever, I'll just ask around. Tayuya managed to get directions to Training Field 7 from an old woman sweeping out her doorstep. So now she was going through the forest. An ANBU was 10 feet from her, following her. Should have expected that. She turned to him. Hey, is it a left or a right up here? He gestured to the left. Tayuya sighed and turned left. The clearing was large, with a small stream running through the center. Long green grass covered most of the area, making it seem quite tranquil. She glanced around. It was also quite empty. Not a blonde hair in sight. Tayuya stretched out to try and get a sense of the area, and there she walked into the underbrush and almost tripped over Naruto. Hey, dumbass! What are you doing there? He glanced up at her, seeming slightly annoyed. Training. What do you mean training? You just sitting there. Naruto jerked his head around behind him and her eyes shifted. Her jaw dropped. Blonde hair everywhere. At least 200 clones covered the forest floor behind him like a blanket. All of them were sitting in a similar position. Cross-legged with their hands pressed together, palms flat. What the hell is he up to? What the fuck are you doing here, jackass? He frowned. Listen, I thought we agreed that you wouldn't call me names anymore. She groaned. Oh, fine. Naruto, I'll use your goddamn name, even if you don't deserve it. Naruto sighed and his eyebrow twitched. Could you go somewhere else? I really am training, so it'd help if you weren't distracting me. A devious smile stretched her lips and she sat down in front of him. Oh, come on, Naruto. Why don't you tell me what you're working on? I am your wife after all. You can trust me, like I can trust you. That's funny. She lost her smile. Okay, stop right there. I need to tell you something. I am tired of being stuck in that stupid apartment alone with absolutely nothing to do. Naruto said bluntly. You got the okay to go about the village without me. Why do I have to keep you company now? As you put it 3 days ago, when we had our little argument, you could care less what kind of deal we had. You don't want anything to do with me. She coughed. That was just a little argument, Naruto. Listen, I'm bored out of my mind. He growled. Why don't you go play your flute then? You saw how well that went. Naruto, I ticked at her insistence. Alright, I don't care if you watch, but could you keep quiet at least? I'm not good at sitting still. This is hard enough for me. But what are you doing? It was starting to annoy her too. His refusal to tell her just what he was doing. What kind of freaking illegal shit is he doing that he can't even trust me with it? It's not like anyone listens to what I said. Even if it wasn't allowed, everyone would think I was lying to get him in trouble, he said quietly. It is an exercise that I saw in Kiri. I'm trying to copy it, but I don't have any sensory abilities for the most part. So I'm having to guess at what I'm doing, and that is. She made her voice seductive, thinking to put him off guard. As usual, it didn't work, he said. Listen, you know the chunin exams are coming up, right? She nodded. And I know you're still a genin, so what? Are you entering the exams this year? Yes. And this is very important to me. I'm trying something that shouldn't be possible, and I really don't want either of my sensei trying to tell me it won't work. Tayuya blinked in surprise. What do you mean by not possible? Is this why you skipped sleeping the last 2 days? He growled. Yes, now let me concentrate already. She went silent and watched him. After a few moments she felt the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end. She scooted away from him as his lips twisted and his eyebrows drew down into a deep scowl. Tayuya saw the hair on his arm standing now. It was a moment before she realized what he was doing. He's trying to use lightning release. But he's a wind user and he wasn't born with lightning, I think, and if he was born with it, then why is he saying it's supposed to be impossible? Extremely curious, she decided to watch him while he trained or sat. Her mind raced, looking for some reasonable answer to what he was doing. Her hair had lain back down a while ago, so what was he up to now? Naruto smiled inwardly as he finished his task. Hell yeah! Suck that pervy sage. He briefly wondered if it was appropriate to think of his sensei in that way. I guess Tayuya is rubbing off on me. Naruto stood and his red-haired companion did the same. She brushed herself off, complaining, okay, now I'm sore and still pretty damn curious. Are you going to explain what the heck you were doing for the last 3 hours? Naruto shook his head. Nope. Sorry, Tayuya, but I can't tell you. But since you waited there so patiently, I'll tell you what. What? He snickered. If you watch me in the chunin exams, then you'll see what I've been training for. She groaned. But that's a whole 3 weeks away. You're going to keep me in the dark the whole time? Naruto nodded. Yep, but it will be so worth it. When you see the look on Pervy Sage's face when I whip out my new jutsu, he started to giggle to himself. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to blow the lid right off him and all his rules about jutsu. Whoever said you can't? He glanced at her before he got too far ahead of himself and revealed what he was up to. Anyway, you'll see, I promise. Tayuya huffed. Asshole. Well, I deserve that, I think. Tsunade grumbled to herself as Shizen passed back the letter from the rakeage. It told her that he was sending 2 of his best with a group of 3 genin. They would act as the mentors for their team during the exams. Shizen asked, was it a good idea to invite them? Tsunade nodded. Yes, it needed to be done. I can't work well within the political landscape as a new Kage. I've only had this job for a few years. Most of my fellow Kage have years of experience on me. The Raikage and Tsuchikage especially. She rubbed her temple. I actually extended to Lorda himself, but apparently he decided not to come. Her assistant mumbled, well, the last Kage to come here did get killed. Shut up. Kisame groaned loudly as the spectral figures of his fellow Akatsuki vanished. Damn Itachi, Sasori sure knows how to spoil our fun. I was looking forward to fighting the One-Tails. I've never fought a Jinchuriki who was also a Kage. Even if he was young. Itachi looked around the cave where the meeting had concluded. His breath steamed out in the frigid air. It is nothing. We have a new task. The Jinchuriki of the 2 and 8 tails are on the move. Sasori could say that much. The tall pallid man stretched and turned his white bloodshot eyes on the Uchiha. True, but I'm surprised, Itachi. Why did you warn the zombies off attacking Kumo? Because Kumo is the strongest village now. And their tactics won't work as well as ours in this situation. We are a better match against them now. Besides, you weren't interested in fighting that old man with the 4 tails. Kisame clicked his tongue. It's not that. I simply prefer more youthful opponents. Old men won't interest Samahata. Well, it doesn't matter. We need to get on the trail of the 8 tails and 2 tails. Alright, Itachi. Let's go. Kakashi Hatake scratched his chin, wonderingly as he looked down at his student. I don't know, Naruto. Entering the chunin exams as a lone member sounds a bit reckless to me. Are you quite sure that Jiraiya gave the okay? Naruto nodded. You bet. He told me I was ready for this. He is the Toad Sage, you know. He taught me a ton of stuff. I bet I could take you on any day. The white-haired Jonin eye smiled. I have no doubt you're eager to try, but you'll have to make chunin before you challenge me. So, I get to enroll in exams? No. Naruto was about to shout when Kakashi forestalled him. Not alone. You need to find at least one other genin to watch your back. It's far too easy to get caught off guard during the exams. I don't doubt that you are strong, but you don't have eyes in the back of your head. The blonde groaned. But all the other rookies are chunin, or even jonin. Who do I team with? Kakashi sighed. I don't know. Naruto, isn't Tenten still a genin? She could join you. She'll be in the same position as you. And what about Konohamaru? Naruto's jaw dropped. Little bro? Konohamaru? Why him? He's just barely a genin last time I checked. Kakashi smirked under his mask. Per Naruto. Never could keep up with local news, could you? No, Naruto. Konohamaru is beyond the level of his team right now. I heard him boasting that he could do Rasengan too. I assume you taught it to him. And if he can use that jutsu, I'm sure he can compete in the exams with you. Maybe not evenly, but still. There was a moment of silence as Naruto digested this. Okay, sensei. I'll get them in on it. But there was something else I really needed to ask you about. Sure, what did you need to know? Naruto scratched his head. But you gotta swear that you won't tell anyone, especially not Granny or Pervy Sage. Why so secretive? Naruto sighed. I've been working on a new jutsu. I didn't want them preventing me from training because they were worried about me getting hurt. Kakashi raised his eyebrow. Okay, Naruto, you've got me curious. I promise I won't tell a word. You sure? He nodded and lazily crossed himself. Cross my heart, and hope to die. Naruto raised his own eyebrow and asked, stick a needle in your eye? Kakashi shrugged, uncomfortable with the phrase. I keep my promises. We both know that. They paused for a moment as Naruto composed himself. Then he looked him right in the eye. I've been training myself in sealing. Pervy Sage showed me the basics, but I need help on this one I've been working on. Wait, you made a new seal on your own? Naruto shook his head. No, I altered one I saw in Kiri. But it just won't activate no matter how hard I try. I'm a bit scared to push a lot of chakra into it, so could you help out? Kakashi shrugged again. I'll see what you've got, but I'm not sure how much I can help. I've used a few seals before. My sensei was a master at them, but I only learned a few of the more restrictive variety. One's for containing energy, not for combat. A groan came from Naruto, but this one is supposed to be for fighting close up. He hesitantly brought his hands to eye level and showed Kakashi his palms. The Jonin blinked his visible eye. Then he scratched his chin. Interesting. Excited, Naruto asked. Do you know what it's missing, sensei? Kakashi coughed lightly. No. Not a clue. I have absolutely no inkling what that even is for. Can't help you here. Jiraiya probably told you, but sealing changes drastically from person to person. Every sealing master in the history of the village has had their own unique style, only sharing their most basic techniques. You could go your whole life and never see the same seal twice. Naruto groaned. Well, that's a drag. You're starting to sound like a Nara, and you're as useless as Jiraiya at a sauna sometimes. Kakashi deadpanned. That wasn't called for, but I suppose you're right sometimes. Still, respect your teachers. Naruto dropped his hands finally and turned away. Okay, sensei, I'll just have to work it out on my own. Just make sure you register me. I'll get Tenten and Konohamaru in on it. Kakashi watched him go. The door closed to his apartment, and he sat up. Sorry, Naruto, but I recognize that seal. I really can't have you mastering it, not that I could help you at all. That's a SS rank seal from the 3rd Mizukage. I have no idea where you saw it, or how you memorized it, but I need to tell Tsunade about it. Tayuya watched Naruto. He hadn't eaten all day and now he was positively moping. She raised her eyebrow as he twirled an odd-looking kunai on his fingertip. It was abnormally long, and the blade was serrated. She figured that whatever jutsu he was practicing hadn't worked. Normally she wouldn't bother with cheering him up, but Naruto was bad enough when he was happy. When he was sad or annoyed, it was almost unbearable to be around. She moved over to him and poked him in the shoulder with her flute. He glanced at her. What you need? She glowered. Stop moping, shithead. Naruto rolled his eyes. I'm not moping. I'm thinking. Tayuya rolled her eyes back at him. Well, oh great thinker. It isn't a good look for you. Makes you look fucking constipated or something. Thanks for the info. His tone was sarcastic as he answered. Tayuya felt the urge to start a new argument coming over her. He was just so calm at times it made her want to smash his head in. Naruto noticed her own slightly aggrieved expression and said, Now who's the one who looks constipated? She growled, I'm going to tear you a new one if you keep it up. Naruto froze and she thought satisfied. Wow, did that threat actually work? Damn, who knew he was afraid of being spanked? Tayuya gasped as he jumped out of bed and kissed her on the cheek. Then he was darting past her and out the door. Thanks, Tayuya-chan. I just figured out what I was doing wrong. She turned to slap the living shit out of him, but he was gone. Her eyes narrowed. Oh no, you don't. I'm gonna really tear it off for that. Kasuke found Tsunade sitting at her desk, reading a letter with wide eyes. He knocked at the door but she didn't answer. Yo. She glanced up at him. Hataki, what do you want? He scratched the back of his head in a very Naruto-like way. He realized this and stopped immediately. Well, Naruto came to me earlier wanting help with the seal he was working on. Tsunade blinked. And how is this important, Kakashi? I have to arrange for the arrival of the Reikage. I don't have time for this. Spit it out. Kakashi coughed. Thing is, the seals were actually inked onto his palms. They were ones I recognized from the war. She hesitated. Go on. They are a kind of ninjutsu shortcut of sorts. The Mitsukage used it to great effect. As we both know, he wasn't born with water affinity, so he invented a seal that would allow him to use elements that he had little training or affinity for. As I recall, he eventually used it to create an artificial Kekei Genkai. Extremely dangerous to use for someone who doesn't know what he's doing. Tsunade shook her head. I don't know why you're bothering me with this, Kakashi. Naruto has no training with sealing. Jiraiya never showed him the basics. He probably just saw it in Kiri and copied it, hoping to use it in the exams. He already submitted his application to do it with Tenten and Konohamaru. That amused Kakashi, but something didn't fit. But Naruto said that Jiraiya taught him basic sealing. Tsunade stood up. What? Jiraiya specifically told me that he had refrained from doing so. He wanted to focus on Naruto's affinity for wind and his control over the Kyuubi. They stood there for a moment. Kakashi wasn't the first to speak. Hataki, you don't think it's possible, do you? That Naruto somehow taught himself sealing and didn't tell Jiraiya. Then he came to me for advice under the guise of improving Jiraiya's technique. They both looked at each other in silence. She nodded. It's impossible, right? No one teaches themselves that, not without some access to a teacher. Kakashi asked. Minato? Tsunade shook her head. No, he was an exception. He had a grasp of sealing that was beyond imagination. It's impossible for Naruto to copy that. Even Minato was shown his first seal by Jiraiya. Kushina? The Hokage grimaced. You've got me there. I don't know, she was also a master of sealing. She was an Uzumaki after all, but for Naruto to pick it up without any instruction at all. The door opened to the office and Shizen ran into the room. Lady Tsunade. I have a message from the Kage. He wants to attend the chunin exams. She stopped to catch a breath before she continued. The Tsuchikage accepted your invitation too. Tsunade looked completely speechless for a moment. The Kage, the Tsuchikage, and the Reikage all in her village at the same time. I really should have reconsidered sending those invites. Damn, this is going to be a mess. Kakashi. I want you to get the A and B watching Naruto too, not just the girl. And make sure it's someone who will be interested in the job. I don't want anyone who will shirk their duty to get even with the Kyuubi. Yes, Hokage-sama. She waved him off. We'll talk later. This is more important at the moment. He agreed with her on that much. I'll see if Iwego is interested in watching him. She was always fond of Kushina when she was younger. Yes, Naruto restrained himself from shouting aloud. The forest clearing was deserted, but he could feel someone nearby approaching. He put it out of his mind. He'd done it. He'd so done it. Now that he had the seal down flat, it would be a walk in the park to master the jutsu he'd been working on. All that useless training, trying to tame the Kyuubi when I could have been working on my elemental release. And then all of that training with beating genjutsu since he was so worried about Itachi coming after me again. Even though I totally whipped him with my chakra reserves, he still wanted me to train to make them larger. I could have spent 2 years much more productively. Naruto looked at his palms. One each was a seal, thickly layered. 7 layers on each palm. And an 8th that covered both at the same time. That was why he had to do it with his palms together. Damn near blew my hands of a few times, but hey. It worked. He clenched his fist and took in a deep breath. He focused his chakra in front of him, punched out. The clearing lit up for a moment. Well, that was a letdown. I guess fire release is still iffy. I just gotta train for the next 3 weeks, hee. I'll blow everyone away. Naruto. He turned just in time to catch Tayuya's fist on his palm. She glared at him and swung her foot to catch him in the groin. He quickly brought his legs together, trapping her foot before she could land the hefty blow to his manhood. Tayuya was slightly unbalanced as she swung her other fist at him. You kissed me. Naruto blocked her strike and twisted his hips to the side. Suddenly she didn't have a leg to stand on, and she fell back. Naruto fell atop her, pinning her to the ground. Tayuya squirmed and hissed, "Get off! I'll cut you open, you retard." Naruto held her still, sending chakra to his arms and legs to strengthen them. He said, "Stop trying to hit me and I'll let you go." "You kissed me, you fucking imbecile." He raised his eyebrow at her, and? "It was thanks for triggering my memory. You didn't think I actually want to kiss you, did you?" She closed her mouth for a moment before answering. "You enjoyed it last time, pervert." "Yeah, and we already fought over this." "I don't remember doing it. I just remember it happening. I already admitted I liked it, but I'm not trying to get neutered. I wouldn't have done it if I hadn't been excited. So it's kinda your fault." He smirked and asked, "Can I let you go now, or do I just need to sit on you?" She growled, "Let go of me already, pervert." He jumped back, letting go of her hurriedly before she made another attempt at breaking the family jewels. Tayuya sat up. "Fine, fuckface. I'll forgive you if you tell me what the fuck kind of epiphany I triggered in your lame ass." Naruto grinned. "I was working on a seal to let me use other elemental releases. See?" He showed her his palms, and to her surprise there was a blue/black eye on each one. It seemed to be made up of several overlapping patterns. Tayuya asked, "How is that even possible? Even the best shinobi need years to master a new elemental release. You couldn't get around that with a seal." He shook his head. "Nope, but with Meyer's special training method, the years turn into months. And the months turn to weeks. And it's not long till the chunin exams start. I'll work straight up until the day before the exams start, and then I'll sleep in late that day to recover my chakra reserves. I am a Jinchuriki, so being rested isn't a problem for me." Tayuya snapped, "You're getting off topic. You still kiss me, retard." He pointed out, "You already used that one, wise ass." Naruto laughed. "Honestly, it doesn't bother me that much anymore. I mean, sometimes it's annoying, but your cursing feels like it's normal. But good work on mixing it up. No one's ever called me that before." She sneered like I'm surprised. "You're as dumb as you look." "Hey! I'll have you know that I look very clever, and that's much better than just being a know-it-all." He sniffed. "Anyway, you should get back to the apartment before the ANBU come out here and get you. I doubt they were watching you at this hour now that Tsunade gave you free rein." Tayuya stood and turned to go back into the village. "Asshole." Naruto watched her go with a long sigh. She's going to take a lot of time to adjust. I wonder if she'll ever give the personal insults a break? It probably was too much to ask for her to stop cursing, but he could hope, right? He turned his attention back to his training. First wind, then lightning, then water, then fire or earth. I want to be able to use a couple jutsu from each by the time I finish. And I'll take the last few days to work on more seals. Stupid pervy sage. Thinks that I can't figure stuff out on my own. Hell. I learned how to do shadow clones without any teaching. And I did it in a single night. I'll show him what I'm made of." Naruto focused and brought his hands together. Poof! 2 weeks later. 2 days before the chunin exams. Lord A. The Reikage strode into the village hidden in the leaves with Killer Bee by his side. Yujito was behind him with Darui and 2 squads of genin. He'd decided to accept Tsunade's proposal in full. After all, he wanted to see how Konoha had fared after the war, and from the simple yet imposing village gates, he figured that they had indeed fared well. His eyes took in the small retinue waiting for them. It consisted of a few jonin from the village as well as Tsunade and her assistant. I knew that the Kage had already arrived, but that Tsuchikage hadn't. All the better for me. I can make amends with the Hokage before that old man shows up and starts the next great war. Shortly they arrived at the village gates. Tsunade gave a minimal bow as did A. Everyone else bowed deeply, with the notable exception of Kakashi and Darui, who eyed each other pensively. Tsunade was the first to speak, and A noted that her voice was strong and carried weight that it hadn't possessed the last time they met. Lord Raikage, it is an honor to meet you once again. I welcome you to the Leaf Village. I hope your time here will be eventful in a good way, as do I. Now, I believe that it is time I see how your great village looks on the inside. Shall we go in? She nodded. Yes, follow me, Lord A. He motioned to those behind him, giving B a stern look before he fastened his eyes to the great gates. He heard a bar being drawn on the other side, and then they swung inward. The anticipation from his subordinates was palpable as they came to a halt with a dull boom. Tsunade gestured for them to enter. They walked inside the gates, looking around at the village hidden in the leaves. A nodded in approval. It looks as though you gave recovered well from the war. Almost as well as ourselves. Tsunade agreed. We have been blessed with an especially skilled generation of shinobi this time. It's been better that we weren't forced to divert attention to training incompetent shinobi. One group in particular has excelled. Darui commented from A's right side. I heard they call them the Rookie 12. She smiled. Yes, they were all genin and all passed to the 3rd stage of the chunin exams on their first try. Some of them are jonin now. A saw how she took pride in her village, and he understood the feeling. Though he couldn't say this year had been best for new talent. He opened his mouth to speak. Then he heard it. A high-pitched whistling sound. Then a moment later it was followed by a shout. Run Akamaru, Kikaya Babea. Tsunade let out an audible groan as 2 figures dashed from the street to their right. It was a tall boy with dark brown hair and a huge white dog by his side. They were obviously fleeing from someone. Akamaru. Go faster. Oh shit, I really crossed the line this time. Hokage-sama. Help. Naruto's gonna kill me. She saw Kiba Inuzuka dashing as a headlong paced towards her now. She heard the attacker again. I'm not going to kill you, dog breath. I'm going to skin you alive. Do you know how much chakra I put in that fucking seal? Tsunade blinked as Naruto came barreling at a pace hard to imagine. He seemed to be blurring out, his outline becoming indistinct. Rasengan! Oh shit! BOM! Naruto slammed into the ground where Kiba had been a second before. There was a 9-foot crater in the road where his hand was. Kiba! Get your mangy ass over here! Don't make me use my new jutsu on you. I'm saving it for the exams. No way, Naruto. I ain't committing suicide. The Inuzuka ran to cower behind Tsunade. Hey, could you handle Naruto like you usually do? You know, calm him down? Tsunade turned on the boy. Don't you see who I'm escorting here? Get lost. Solve your problems with Naruto, or you'll have worse things to worry about. Looks like some might need to appoint a new successor. Naruto cracked his knuckles ominously. Come here, pup. The fox wants to play tag. Kiba stepped away from Tsunade. Yeah, okay, I'll just go then. He made a break for a side street. But Naruto grabbed something from his pouch and threw it at Kiba. They watched as the boy turned just in time to catch the flying kunai. Then wham! Naruto disappeared from where he had been standing and reappeared with his fist in Kiba's gut. The blows sent the Inuzuka flying, Naruto in hot pursuit. Blinked once then twice. He looked to Tsunade with growing apprehension. Tsunade Senju, who was that? She glanced back at him, having gone quite pale herself. That was Naruto Uzumaki. He's a genin here, he'll be taking the chunin exams this year. A step forward and looked her in the eye. You know what I'm asking. What was that jutsu? It looked like. Tsunade quickly shook her head. Even if it is, don't speak of it here. Not even in jest. Naruto's jutsu are not widely known. We hardly know everything he is capable of after training in secret for 2 years. If we must, then we will speak on it at the tower. For now let me show you the wonders of the leaf. He nodded, but could feel the hesitation that suddenly filled his bones. It couldn't possibly be no. I refused to believe that was Hirishin. Naruto hauled Kiba up and threw him, sending clear over the wall of the Inuzuka compound. Hana looked at him surprised. Her eyebrow was raised in question. So what did the moron do this time? Naruto growled. He interrupted me when I was doing something very important. And worst of all, he was trying to prank me. Did everyone forget who I was? I'm the prankster king of Konoha. Not someone you mess with. She just smirked at that. Well, thanks for leaving him in one piece, Naruto. I'm glad you still have restraint. He shrugged, letting his smile slip though. Actually, it was a great stress reliever. I kinda needed that. Tayuya's been in a weird mood and it makes everything tense. She burst out laughing. Yeah? See ya around then, Naruto. I hope you master the chunin exams this time. You damn well know who I've got my money on. She winked at him, And give that foul-mouthed redhead a big hug from me. He grinned then. You got it, Hana-chan. See you when I win the exams. Naruto sprinted through the village, back to his apartment where he was working on seals. It had required a huge amount of chakra to prepare his plan. It was simple. He wanted to completely dominate the exams. And to do that he decided that 3 things were essential. First, he needed to study up on his opponents this time. To that end he'd send out over 30 clones to gather info on all the genin arriving in the village. Second, he had to master at least one new element. Oh, I am so going to win that category. If they don't make me a chunin for what I managed to do in a few weeks, then nothing will get me promoted. I can't wait to see all their faces when I go and use an element they didn't even know existed. Third was a more personal goal. He wanted to master 3 of the 4th jutsu. He had mastered Rasengan, but the other 2 were a bit problematic. For the second most famous Hokage he had very little info drifting around on him. But his persistence and studious ignorance when it came to rules allowed him to find out 2 more that were damn special. First was the Hirishin, the yellow flash's signature jutsu. And the third didn't seem to have an official name, so he decided that as soon as he could do it, he'd name it himself. Simply, the jutsu allowed the user to temporarily make one's chakra much denser. And if the description was anything to go by, it meant that this technique could be used to bring out the bloodline limit of any individual. But that was only through greatly extended use. Normally it would just be used to increase the power of his ninjutsu by a couple times. He accomplished the first task and the second as well. And the third, well, he wasn't busy marking a ton of kunai and shuriken for nothing. It's eating me that there's such a big break between the Forest of Death and the final test. I wish they'd change it up. Besides, I don't know what to do about the technical exam. Naruto stopped dead in his tracks as he felt a chill run up his spine. All too familiar. The sensation of someone staring at him with killing intent. Some lowlife is drilling holes in my back, alright. But who the hell is it? His mind's eye tracked to where the person was. He smirked, time to show off a bit. Maybe this is some lame-ass genin from IWA or something who hates Konoha. Doesn't matter. This'll fix him. Naruto whirled and threw his newly crafted kunai. It embedded itself in the wall of a building a couple alleys back. He heard a yelp of surprise and caught sight of someone darting into the shadows. Naruto smirked and flashed to his kunai. He pulled it out and looked down the alley. His eyes picked out the figure. He or she was still darting down the passage. Not so fast. Naruto judged the shot and threw. His feet planted into a small back as he grabbed his kunai, a fraction of a second before it embedded itself in the boy's back. Naruto realized it was a boy as he dropped him to the ground with his full weight on top. Rather pleased with his work, Naruto asked, like my new jutsu kid? The boy struggled to move until Naruto jumped away from him, landing silently. Now he was sure this was one of the genin from IWA. The uniform almost shouted stoner as they were sometimes called. Naruto saw him stand and wipe the dirt from the front of his jacket. He didn't feel sorry for dropping him like that. The kid got what was coming to him trying to spy on him. The nerve. Naruto wiggled his eyebrows. Hey? Are you deaf or mute? Either Konoha scum. Naruto chuckled. That's funny, a short guy like you who just ate dirt is calling me that? You IWA nin really don't have a sense of self-preservation, do you? He spat. You are a stain on this earth, dumb pig. That caused Naruto to burst out laughing. You really are weird. You'd think that I just made it clear who was stronger. And you keep trying to insult me. Well then again, not exactly the worst names I've been called recently. He thought of all the things Tayuya called him on a daily basis. They made this genin's insults seem almost sweet in comparison. Naruto felt his neck tingle just before he had the good sense to duck. A wooden pole swished over his head as he did so. Naruto's body moved on its own, twisting around to deliver a 3-fingered jab to his attacker's solar plexus. He looked up to see another IWA headband. Okay, so what are the chances that they're both total pushovers? He stepped back to let the young woman recover. She grimaced and cursed, bastard. Naruto found himself in a fairly good mood now, so he stopped to consider this from a literal perspective. Well, since I don't know if my parents were married when they had me, that's entirely possible. But you know. Kinda rude to point it out. He chuckled as she stood straight and stepped forward to fight. Here we go. Round 2. The window was open to Tsunade's office as Naruto leapt up to the ledge to perch there with his 2 burdens. He had officially lost his good mood, but he wasn't completely livid anymore. He'd had time to settle down on the way there. But he had to give it to the 2 IWA nin. They knew how to rub him the wrong way. It hadn't gone well for them after they pissed him off. He didn't mess around fighting after his training trip. Clean and quick. So now he had them, one under his left arm. The other was over his right shoulder. Both were tied with ninja wire, though he'd somehow managed to prevent himself from gagging them. Naruto looked inside the office. Tsunade was there, behind her desk, like she usually was. Shizen was off to the side, and there were a few ANBU in the corners of the room. However, across from her floated or levitated an ancient-looking man with what looked like the Tsuchikage symbol on his hat. He took in the appearance of his company as they all turned to look at him in unison. A slim girl to his left with pink eyes and a very mischievous smirk. Naruto immediately labeled her as stiff competition, but didn't find her repulsive. Anyone with a penchant for pranks couldn't be too bad. Then there was the extremely fat young man to his right. Along with that seemed to be a couple Jonin team leaders and a handful of genin. Naruto's gaze returned to the old man. Inoki found himself staring into familiar and hated eyes. Blue as a flawless star sapphire. Blonde hair the color of spun gold. Tan skin and a tall athletic build. Those eyes were livid. Not simply angry, but furious. The blonde spoke and his voice damnably similar to his hated enemy. Hey granny, got 2 deliveries here for the Tsuchikage. He tossed the 2 genin to the floor where they groaned. The girl managed to sit up and hiss, shove it! Uzumaki brat. Inoki's eyes widened as the blonde's eyes narrowed imperceptibly. Then everyone in the room felt it. Killing intent so thick that it was as if the gravity in the room had increased tenfold. He felt the overwhelming feeling of someone grasping at his old heart with burning talons. He growled low in his throat. Insult me. Knock yourself out. Insult my village. Have a nice day. Insult my family. Go right ahead since I don't have one to insult. But if you insult the 4th Hokage again, I'll show you what it feels like to have his favorite jutsu shoved up your tight ass. He raised his hand and the air in the room rushed to flow around his palm. Thick tendrils of indigo light materialized from the center of his hand. His chakra condensed till it formed a swirling violent vortex of wind and energy. It was the size of the genin's head. She paled as white as parchment. Naruto grinned as the ball spun faster and faster till it gave off a high-pitched keening wail. You know what this is? It's called Rasengan, dumbass. He sneered, so tell me what you said earlier. I dare you know, I double dare you know? I didn't think so. Inoki watched as the pulsing blue sphere shrank and dispersed. The young man turned his gaze him. The eyes were cold. Hey old man, you should give your genin some advice from me. Unless they want to fight me, they better get themselves knocked out early. I'm going to the final test, and they might not like fighting me when I'm allowed to go all out. Inoki glanced at Tsunade, who had suddenly turned as pale as the genin on the floor. He asked, Who is this Tsunade? She was cut off as the blonde answered, My name, old man, is Naruto Uzumaki. Thank you very much. And no, I don't care about your rank. I judge people by their actions, not some title. You might have their respect. He pointed at the 2 genin, but you'll have to earn mine. Tsunade regained her composure and stood. Naruto. Hold your tongue. He is a Kage and demands respect from all. Naruto reached behind him and pulled out an oddly shaped kunai. Yeah, we'll see. I need to get back to working on my new jutsu. He flashed a predatory grin and threw his kunai out behind him. His eyes settled on the slim girl by Inoki as he vanished soundlessly. The 2 genin struggled to rise as Inoki let out a long breath. That gaze had been suffocating. Utterly terrifying. It wasn't the gaze of his old enemy, Minato Nameki's. That had been the feral stare of a demon. Something that could rip him apart or swallow him whole. Kami, if I live another 100 years, I could do without seeing that again. He swiveled in the air and addressed Tsunade. Hokage? I would like an explanation immediately. Is that or is that not the son of Minato Nameki's? Tsunade's eyes hardened, and what if he is? Are you going to demand he answer for your defeat at his father's hands? He doesn't even know who his parents are. He barely knows his mother's identity. Only enough to carry on the Uzumaki clan. She dropped back down into her chair. As the Tsuchikage, I don't expect you to hold any sympathy for my people, but he is wounded inside and there is nothing I can do about it. Do me a favor for once. Instead of going over old wrongs, try to understand that others suffered as much as you did. Inoki closed his eyes for a moment, remembering his losses in the war with Konoha. If I'm honest with myself, I'm part of the reason the boy has no family. I was the one who put the death order on the Nameki's clan. But it still burns me that he is here. I would want nothing more than to assassinate him, though there is no chance of getting away with it. He nodded. I understand that, Tsunade. However, why have you kept it a secret? It makes no sense to me. Tsunade sighed. It was the decision of the 3rd that Naruto be isolated for the express purpose of keeping him away from the enemies of the Nameki's and his parents. She motioned to his subordinates, in essence, all of you. Could I be any more blunt? I suppose not now. I sense there is something better for us to speak of right now. She grimaced. Very true. Down to business then? Indeed. Naruto landed without a sound on the floor in his apartment. He deactivated the jutsu that made his chakra denser as he stood up. His anger faded slowly, leaving him cold and empty. Those Iwa Nin hated the yellow flash, but he couldn't imagine that anyone could disagree with what he stood for. The 4th Hokage had always preached peace, hadn't he? Naruto hoped desperately that his picture of the 4th was an actual picture, and not some illusion that a little boy made up. Jiraiya and Kakashi, and even Tsunade had told him that Minato Nameki's had been a great man, but they had also been his friends and allies. Had they been blind to any bad side? He wondered if the 4th would have liked him. I don't know. He must have known my parents, or he couldn't have sealed the Kyuubi in me at birth. Or maybe Okami, maybe he despised my family and did it as an insult to them. I couldn't live with that. Hey, Mr. Thinker. Are you just going to stand there looking like a retarded mule, or are you going to start breathing? Naruto halted his thinking to glance over at Tayuya. She was writing something. A notepad was in her hand and a long pencil in the other. He examined her from head to toe. She was looking better. Not having the deep circles under her eyes helped immensely. And her complexion had paled somewhat from all the time indoors, giving her skin a tone slightly darker than Hinata's. Her red hair was in her face as always, making him wonder how she could stand it. Doesn't it bug the shit out of her constantly? It probably blocks a fifth of her vision right down the middle. Besides that, her eyes were clear and piercing and her red eyebrows made their perpetual V while she waited for his answer. I was just wondering about the fourth Hokage, you know, one eyebrow raised, so? Why should I give a shit? He's dead, right? And you want his position. You should worry about yourself. Besides, you already have his two most infamous jutsu, and another one I've never even heard of. What more do you need for fucking genin? Naruto snorted. You're technically not even a genin, but I seem to remember you defeating a few high chunin to jonin level shinobi, so I hardly think the exams are going to be a piece of cake. She rolled her eyes, whatever shithead. Go find someone else to bother. He smirked. What if you're the one I want to bother? What do you think about that? Tayuya flipped him off and didn't speak. Naruto smiled and launched himself at her. She saw him coming and barely managed to avoid skewering him with her pencil, her common sense saving her at the last second. She cursed several times as he landed next to her on the bed. So what you working on? She growled. I hate you. How can you be so fucking bipolar? 1 second you're serious as fuck and then you turn into some laugh-happy idiot. That wasn't nice, Tayuya? Now show me what you're doing. No, why not? She smacked him upside the head with the notebook and jabbed him in the ribs with the pencil for good measure. He winced at the pencil, but refused to move. Tayuya groaned and said, "Their music sheet's all right. Now get off my bed." He didn't move. Her scent was teasing at him. He might have been tempted to push his face into the crook of her neck, but he wasn't quite ready to kick the bucket. And he had no clue how she would react. Instead, he rolled over so he could look at her. She glared back. I said, "Get off my bed." Naruto grinned. I don't want to right now, besides I've already said that it's my bed too. Seeing how we are, don't rub it in my face, asshole. You're just the lesser of two fucking evils. He sighed. You do realize that if you never give me any slack, I can't give you any. If everyone knows you're acting like a hostile nin with me, you'll never get any privileges. Tsunade trusts me, but that only goes so far, you know. Tayuya sneered. What makes you think I want any stupid rights in this place? I still think of you like enemies. Why pretend otherwise? Better to just act like a prisoner. That's what I am. He sat up and snatched her notebook from her hand. Tayuya shouted, "Hey! Give it back." Oh really? I thought you didn't want any rights? I thought I made it clear to you weeks ago that you need to start working on that stubborn pride of yours. How would you feel if I treated you like you apparently want to be treated? Do you really want me to act like an asshole? No, I don't. Give it back already. Naruto held it out of her reach, then stopped being a bitch. Tayuya halted. What did you just call me? Her tone was deadly serious. Naruto ignored it. What? You like to call me even worse. I guess you can dish it out, but doesn't look like you can take it. Her hand crossed his face with a harsh slapping sound. Don't you dare call me that fucker. Naruto's eyes hardened. Really? He smacked her across the side of the head, hard enough to cause her to cry out. Ow. He threw the notebook on the bed, and used one hand to force her back onto it. Her eyes met his angrily. Naruto caught her gaze with his own. His cheeks were reddening, both from the slap and from the proximity to her. Tayuya's scent was strong and tempting. The position they were in did not escape him as she struggled to sit up. Naruto growled, "Stay down." Hell no! He pushed forward, ramming his forehead against hers. I said stay down. A bit of killing intent radiated out, causing her to go completely still. Naruto said, "We never had a serious talk about it, but I've already lost control once with you. I don't even remember doing it, but I don't think either of us want it to happen again." Fear stole into her eyes, setting of an ache in his chest. He didn't want her to be afraid of him, but this was necessary. I'm going to be honest. I haven't been feeling like myself lately. All the training I've been doing, it's almost like it's messing with my head. I get excited or pissed on the drop of a hat. I can't control my impulses like I usually do, and you keep ticking me off. He growled and pulled back slightly. Naruto paused. He didn't know what he was about to say. It was there and then gone. Tayuya saw the look of confusion cross his face before it sharpened to anger. His eyes flashed red as he tried to slow his breathing. I want to be your friend, Tayuya. Could you try to be mine? She looked to the side. He watched her as the gears of her mind turned quickly. His own expression softened as she let out a long, pained breath. She said quietly, I don't know how to be friends with someone. Naruto smiled. I can show you. Her eyes turned to him, questioning, can you even teach that? I'll do my best, and that's a promise. Tayuya woke the next day to find herself curled up on her bed. She was a bit sore, but that was to be expected. After her talk with Naruto, he had taken her to one of the many training fields around the village. He told her that training was one way that shinobi strengthened their friendship. She almost regretted sparring with him, though. He was a freaking beast. They were at it for 3 hours and he didn't even break a sweat. An hour later she was drenched in it. And he wasn't even breathing hard. It was unreal how long he could go. And he had 3 fucking battalions of clones doing the same thing around us. Does he not understand the concept of overdoing it? Tayuya's nose picked up a tantalizing scent. Her body moved on its own, forcing her to a sitting position. She looked around, searching for the source of the smell. It was food, so her eyes automatically moved to the kitchen nook. There was Naruto, making something that certainly wasn't ramen. Her eyebrows furrowed as she realized what it was: bacon. I've never even seen pork in this apartment. Where'd the dumbass get bacon from and why? He's a ramen nut. Naruto evidently heard her sit up because he said, I figured that you'd want something more substantial than ramen after training hard for the first time in a while. He glanced over his shoulder at her. His cheeks were pink. Tayuya realized this immediately, but didn't understand why. Then she looked down. This isn't my bed, what the fuck? Naruto? Why the fuck am I in your bed? Then she remembered. Oh, now I feel stupid. Naruto scratched his chin uneasily. Yes, sorry about that. When you knocked off for the day yesterday, you came and got in my bed by accident. I didn't stop training until 11. I was exhausted and wasn't really paying attention. Kinda scared the shit out of me when I woke up right next to you. She somehow managed to keep from glaring at him. He wasn't responsible this time. Why the bacon? You never eat anything besides ramen. He shrugged. Already told you that, Tayuya. Oh shit. Now I really feel stupid. Idiot. He sighed. Again with the names? Can't you call me Naruto? It's not that hard to remember, you know. She frowned. I prefer to call you idiot. It suits you better. Naruto rolled his eyes at her. Okay, well, if that's how it's going to work, I'll start calling you Tayuya-chan. I think it suits you. He grinned. Well, Tayuya-chan, what do you think? Her eye twitched, then her fist. Fine, Naruto. Her thinly veiled anger made him chuckle. She is cute. I wish I could tell her that seriously. But she'd probably go ballistic. And I don't need the whole village seeing me chased around by some tiny redhead. An image flashed into his head. It was Shizen telling him about his mom. Something about a nickname and all the boys lusting after her, but at the same time being too terrified to go near her. Naruto sighed, wondering who his father had been. He must have been someone powerful, or he wouldn't have been able to keep my mom pinned down. At least that's what I get from talking to people who knew her. He casually twisted around and moved to her, bending down to put breakfast on her lap. She looked down at the food, then back at him. Her question was clear. Why? Taking a page out of Choji's book hadn't been a bad idea, but he was unsure if she'd be pissed at his reasoning. He said, It's something friends do. I told you that I wanted to be friends, right? She nodded mutely. Her fingers reached out for a piece of bacon. Naruto watched as she snatched it off the plate and bit down with a crunch. Despite herself, she smiled at the taste. She quickly finished the bacon off as he stood back. Naruto walked back to the counter and cleaned up the mess. He'd already been up for 3 hours. Eaten, showered, and trained. Then he came back and made something for her to eat. Maybe I worked her a bit too hard yesterday. I mean, it's not like she's had the chance to train in a really long time. 2 years of not being able to walk properly, and then being stuck here. She'll have to adjust to it. He smiled to himself a bit as he heard her scrapping the plate clean behind him. Guess she liked it. Kuratsuchi paced the large apartment provided for the Tsuchikage and his retainers. It was spacious, but seemed cramped to her. That bastard is only a few buildings away. And he's the son of that man. He killed so many of our family. And not just mine, but every IWA Nin has at least one relative lost to the yellow flash of the leaf. And his son is a stone's throw away. I could fucking kill him. But no. Gramps told me to leave him alone. Attacking him would start off a war guaranteed. She growled to herself as she forced herself to stop pacing. That's it. I'm going to get another look at him. See if he's all he's cracked up to be. If he isn't, I might just teach the bastard a lesson. The door to the apartment slammed closed. Kuratsuchi didn't find him at his home. The place was empty, but she saw 2 beds. One was made and the other one wasn't. Her eyes had narrowed at that. Then she was off, looking for him elsewhere. The stares of the villagers were annoying as she searched. It rankled her that they thought they had any right to judge her. She, the granddaughter of the Tsuchikage, a Jonin-level shinobi. It was almost a half an hour before she found him. And he wasn't alone as she'd hoped. There was a girl with him. She was diminutive in size, but not completely petite. She had long dark red hair, almost the color of blood. Her pale skin glistened with sweat as she darted back and forth, trying to land a blow on the tall blonde. He'd removed his jacket to show his tan muscle. However, he looked completely dry. Kuratsuchi was forced to admire his figure for a moment. Broad shoulders and neat hips. He even had a six-pack. Her mind shifted to evaluating his fighting style. It seemed to have little or no style at all. It was a random series of whatever the hell did the trick. As she brought her kunai up to pierce his chest, he ducked forward, twisting his torso to the side. Her attack sailed past as he disarmed her in a flash. Kuratsuchi blinked when she realized she hadn't seen him do it. Suddenly it was just done. Naruto's legs swept both of hers out from under her as he spun. The redhead fell back and landed in his arms. She scowled and said something that Kuratsuchi couldn't catch. Naruto quickly put her on her feet, shrugging easily. Kuratsuchi decided to settle down and examine him. This information might be invaluable to the IWA genin if they ever had to face him in combat. She smirked as she saw him dodge an angry swipe from the girl. They apparently didn't get along, either that or they got along too well. She didn't know for sure, but there had been 2 beds in his apartment. She might just be his girlfriend or something in that area. Kuratsuchi focused her chakra in her ears to improve her hearing as they started again. Naruto blocked Tayuya's strikes, never letting her get too much momentum in her attacks before he made a move of his own. His style was proving very effective against hers. Probably because he made a point of having no style at all. He liked to compare it to Lee's drunken fist. As unpredictable as possible, but as it was now, she was doing fairly well against him. He winced as the heel of her palm cracked into his side, right where his kidney was. It wasn't a strong blow, but well placed. Not that she could ever hurt me bad enough that Kyuubi couldn't heal it. The fox allowed him to heal at roughly 5 times the normal rate. And with his new jutsu making his chakra denser, he could almost double that. Plus he was already an Uzumaki, so that was just overkill. He smirked as he heard a low grumbling from the back of his mind. Tayuya saw the smirk and doubled her speed, enhancing her attacks with her chakra. 3 strikes landed before he reset his speed to the appropriate level. Her face set as she realized how much he was holding back. In reality it was a lot. He'd asked Lee for advice on chakra weights. The lesser green beast of the leaf had been happy to give him his old set of leg and belt weights. Naruto of course wasn't into those. First of all, they weren't heavy enough for his purposes. And second, he wanted to put the seals on his skin as opposed to on his own weights. He smiled at that thought. Currently he had 12 weight seals on him. And they were adjustable. With just a little bit of chakra he could make them weightless or as heavy as one of the great stone faces. Can't wait to fight someone with them. Throw a punch as fast as I can, then at the last second increase the weight of the seal on the back of my hand to a half-ton. Wham! I'll knock my opponent clear out of the arena. Tayuya had noticed his lax expression and tried to press the advantage only to find him automatically going faster to accommodate her. Every time she sent more chakra to her limbs he would move quicker, always keeping just ahead of her. It was infuriating. She flung her strikes with reckless abandon, throwing defense out the window in an attempt to catch him off guard. Naruto came back to himself in time to dodge a blow that might have knocked his head off his shoulders. He blurred around her rapid-fire barrage of attacks. His eyes focused on her red hair, soaked through with sweat. His sense of smell was picking up her natural aroma as she pummeled him. It was intoxicating, the scent of battle, but then again, 5 minutes later he dropped all the weight from his leg seals and disappeared behind her. Before she realized it, he grabbed her arms and bound them together. She gasped as she was drawn backward. Tayuya landed on her but in the grass. Oh! She looked up at him as he materialized in sight again. He grinned down at her. Sorry, Tayuya-chan. I'm just too fast for you to stand a chance. She ignored that in favor of flipping to her feet. He stood there, extending a hand to catch her by the collar when she almost fell. Tayuya growled, How the hell are you so fast? It shouldn't be possible. You're faster than Kabuto or Kimimaro. And not to mention the fact you trained for like 9 hours straight yesterday. Naruto flashed behind her and severed the ties around her wrists. Then he was back in front of her so fast that she didn't see him move. Her eyes went wide as he held out his kunai to her. Now that's a trade secret, but I give you a hint. It's got something to do with weights, but you're not wearing any. At least not that I see. Where the hell are they? Shoved up your ass, or did you eat them? He burst out laughing and turned around. Neither. You just can't see them. Now Shadow Clone Jutsu. A huge plume of smoke enveloped the entire field. It was blown away a moment later. Tayuya kept her shock under control well. She'd seen this before after all, and it wouldn't do to be seen slack-jawed by her blonde companion. At least 400 clones filled the clearing. They automatically divided into groups of 20. Naruto sent one clone over to her while he went to a larger group of early 50. Tayuya eyed the clone. What are we doing now? How about we do some ninjutsus since you look kinda beat? She grimaced and settled into a defensive stance. Wind spooled around the clone like white threads. She'd seen these too. An ability of Naruto's that was some offshoot of Rasengan. Basically, he was drawing in small currents of wind around him with his affinity for that kind of energy. Then he was pouring his chakra into the air around him, concentrated on the errant wisps. The results were tiny whips that could cut the flesh like it wasn't even there. Naruto couldn't control them very well, but they were still extremely dangerous. Mainly because if a gust blew past her he could amplify it and take her leg off or something worse. The disadvantage to the jutsu was that it only worked out to 10 feet or so. The fact that it was an extremely draining in terms of chakra didn't really apply to him. Tayuya glanced across to see Naruto begin his brutal training a few hundred feet from her. Thank Kami he didn't rig up a smaller version of that for me, it's torture. Well, Tayuya? We going to spar? She growled, quiet piss for brains. I'll squash you. Naruto thrashed through the mass of clones, dodging every single attack he could as his copy did everything in their power to hit him. His weight seals were all activated to half maximum capacity. which all totaled was almost 20,000 pounds. That's about all I can do without injuring myself. Even now, if I get distracted, the strain of all the weight would dislocate something pretty bad. It's a good thing it's super easy to drop the weight off. In actuality, it would kill him if he just dropped all his chakra that's circulating through his body. The strain on his limbs would literally rip him apart. However, he had enough chakra to make his joints, muscles, bones, and tendons outrageously durable. He glanced out of the cornet of his eye, at the clones that were practicing on new elemental releases. I'm going right down to the wire on that third one. If I don't get it by the end of the day, I won't be able to use it for the first 2 tests. Naruto dodged a mini Rasengan and lashed out to smack the clone out of existence. He took the time to send instructions to the rest of his clones by making one to replace it. Those who had been working to manipulate wind chakra switched to Rasengan training. Each of them formed a Rasengan and increased its size to the absolute maximum they could manage. Then they held it for 5 minutes and repeated the process. He felt like it was a bit pointless to have them working on that. With the amount of chakra each clone had, the maximum size of the Rasengan was only 1.5 feet across. If he maxed it out by himself, he could probably turn the whole training area into a smoking crater. Then again, if he used Kurama's chakra, he could take out a significant chunk of the village. I might just have to go easy on my opponents even in the third test. A few minutes, Naruto felt a slight shiver run up his spine and he dispersed all the clones around him in a blast of white smoke. Boy, we need to have a talk. While long time no chat. Can you come inside for a few minutes? This is important. Sure, QB. Give me a sec. Naruto glanced around to see all of his remaining clones training, along with the one that trained with Tayuya. He smiled as she decapitated the clone with his long kunai. Not exactly ninjutsu, but the fact that she managed to get my clone at all is a sign of progress. He moved over into the shade and sat down. Naruto closed his eyes quickly and let himself fall inward. Kurama waited for his container to make his appearance. It wasn't long in coming. The spiky blonde hair of his vessel seeming to glow in the strange light. Naruto's blue eyes gazed up at him through the cage bars. Long time no see, he growled. True enough, boy. But there is something I need to ask you. And that it? Simply this: are you aware of the alternate personality that lies dormant inside you? Naruto blinked in surprise. Dormant? What do you mean by that? As in, it doesn't appear except at certain times when you are emotionally stressed or when certain triggers are activated. Such as when you lost your temper with the girl a few weeks ago. Wait. Is that why you didn't talk to me for so long? I didn't even feel you for like a week after. Kurama nodded his great head and bowed down to bring his gaze closer to Naruto's. It disturbed him that Naruto was completely unaware of it. He growled. I first sensed it almost 2 years ago. It came out infrequently. Here and there. Never more than a few seconds. Almost always when you decided to give up on something or sometimes when you were enraged. And it happened a few weeks ago? What happened? Sai, your other self is different. He has little interest in being friendly and has a much more pessimistic view on life. He is mischievous like you but bordering on sadistic. The few times we have spoken he's managed to take my chakra effortlessly, almost without thinking. I found it quite disturbing the first time. I felt it. I might add that he has made a habit of using his killing intent like an aura. Filling a room with it, almost to the point where it incapacitates others around him. In other words, he is nearly your alter ego. Naruto looked horrified. So that's why Tayuya was so unsettled after. And why she gets all edgy around me sometimes, like she's expecting me to lash out. I suspect so. How do I get rid of it then? I mean, I can't have a psychotic version of me running around without me knowing. I would guess that you will be able to stop him from taking control once you know of him. My point is this: keep an eye on your emotions. You should be extra careful with how you are reacting around others until I find some way of countering him. Kurama settled down with his head between his massive paws. On a separate note, I must congratulate you on your sudden burst of inspiration. I've never seen you so focused since you mastered shadow clones. I was meaning to ask if you considered combining you elemental releases. You're talking about the Kage Genkai like what Haku had? Kurama snapped. What else would I mean? Listen, Kit, you have mastery over wind and now tenuous mastery over 2 other elements. All you need is practice. Now I believe that you would be greatly served using the time between the end of the second test and the final exam to use all 3 in concert. Well, duh. I was kinda thinking of doing that anyway. Actually, I already started doing 2 at once, but it's hard as hell. I mean, it makes Rasengan feel like a pushover jutsu. Even with the seals on my palms, it's super hard to get the chakra from 2 different elements to combine inside my body. Naruto felt the QB sifting through his memories quickly, looking for evidence of his strenuous training. Ah, I see. Excellent. Have you thought of asking your Hokage to get a bloodline test? To see if you have a natural-born Kage Genkai? Huh. What do you mean by that? Kakashi-sensei already did the test, and it showed that I had an affinity for wind. Indeed, you have an affinity for wind, however those pieces of paper